one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Grant's back. Join the conversation every weekday afternoon beginning at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
And a good afternoon, everybody. Taking the show on the road for the first time since coming aboard here on Fox Sports Sacramento at Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland, 65 to Blue Oaks Boulevard. Easy to find. That's Bennett's Westside Grill. We have a dandy of a matchup tonight on Thursday Night Football with Washington at Green Bay. Come on down, say hello, hang out, watch the game with us. Brian Bennett has a hot dog bar. Complimentary hot dogs and chips are available to you. So come on down and we will hang out and watch Thursday Night Football. Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com will be coming up at 4 o'clock. And then Jerry Reynolds is going to be here and will join me during the 5 o'clock hour and be here to hang out and watch some of the games. So Jerry will be here at 5 o'clock. Hope that you are doing well. It has certainly not been a good week, to say the least. And we talk about the anniversary of 9/11. Hard to believe that was almost 25 years ago. And I talked a little bit about it yesterday when I had Mike Lamb on, because Mike was my co-host during that period of time. And I remember doing the show out on Sunrise Boulevard at a sports bar out there. And we weren't talking sports, obviously. And all the firefighters were out there with their boots and everything. But I shared the story yesterday. And from a sports perspective, when you think about 9/11, obviously the entire country came to a screeching halt. No air traffic, no sports. It was a period of time, if you are old enough to remember 9/11, 2001, no question in my lifetime, and I'm 66, and I've lived through the Kennedy assassination, MLK assassination. You know, I think about 9/11, I think about yesterday and some of the other horrific things that have happened in my lifetime at age 66. But as someone that grew up in New York, watching the World Trade Centers being built as a kid, and my dad working one block away from the trade centers, and myself being in those buildings many, many times, including Windows on the World, the restaurant that was up on the 100th floor. But from a football and sports perspective, that year the Yankees were playing the World Series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And that series did not begin until October 27th. And it was kind of a healing type of a sporting event for the people in the Northeast, and particularly in New York. And if you remember, President Bush threw out the first pitch at the World Series and threw a perfect strike and got a rousing ovation from the fans at Yankee Stadium. The NFL was postponed for a couple of weeks. And I remember when the Giants played at Kansas City, and the Giants and everyone in the attendance had the American flag, and everyone was pretty much patriotic back then. And then I think about where we are today, and I'm like, what the heck has happened? And I have told you from day one, I don't want to talk politics, and I'm not going to, but I do want to share what that was like for those of you that were not old enough or even alive on 9/11/2001. And I shared the story yesterday. The New York Giants, the team I root for, they had been playing in Denver the night before. The Broncos had just opened up their brand new stadium, and the Giants were playing in Denver the night before on the 10th of September. And Bob Papa, the longtime voice of the Giants, has been on this show often, not this show, but my previous show. And we've talked about what that was like when their United charter parked at Newark Airport right next to what was Flight 93. And Bob remembers getting off the Giants charter and walking by that gate. And it was very early in the morning, and there were only a few people in the waiting area. And then he talks about getting to the practice facility, and the Meadowlands is right across the river from Lower Manhattan, and you could see Lower Manhattan crystal clear, and the destruction that was going on in New York City at that period of time. On a personal note, I had I don't even know how to say this. To this day, it may have been the most impactful 60 seconds that I've ever seen in my entire life. My wife at the time was a flight attendant for American Airlines, and she was based in San Francisco and did the San Francisco to Kennedy route. And our good friend around the corner was a pilot for United Airlines based out of San Francisco, and he did the San Francisco to JFK route. And I remember waking up early in the morning, and the first tower had already been hit. And we watched, like everyone else did, about the tragic events that unfolded that morning. And about 30 minutes after the second tower went down, the doorbell to my house rang. And I opened up the door, and it was Ed, the pilot for United. And my wife was in the kitchen, and he just walked up to her. They didn't say a word. They embraced for moments, both sobbing uncontrollably, as the planes that were in 9/11 were both American and United aircraft. And that was one of the most powerful scenes that I've ever witnessed, to see the emotions on a flight attendant from American and a pilot for United, not knowing whether they had friends that were on those flights that were going from the East Coast to San Francisco. But I told this story yesterday, and if you missed it, there are New York Giants fans that will tell you that the fact that the Giants played on Sunday night, September 10th, saved their lives. And there was one fan in particular that sent a letter to John Mara, the owner of the New York Giants, saying that your team saved my life. He worked on one of the high floors at one of the towers and flew to Denver that night to go watch his favorite team play, and told John Mara that had it not been for the scheduling, had it not been for his team playing in Denver that night, he would have been gone, because he worked in a high floor at the Trade Center. And there were many stories like that surrounding 9/11. I told the story yesterday that the Meadowlands parking lot where the Giants and the Jets played was Monday through Friday a commuter lot. And you would park your car there, and then you would get on a bus that would take you right into the Port Authority. And every day there were many, many cars that used that parking lot and then got on the bus to commute into New York. And days and weeks after 9/11, those same cars were there and never moved. And those were all the people that perished in that tragic day of 9/11. But I personally will never forget when sports did resume, and it really brought particularly New York together, and I think the country. And I always put out never forget, because I think if you don't live in Washington or New York or in Pennsylvania, you sometimes tend to forget what happened on that day. If you live in New York, you have a daily reminder, because the trade centers aren't there anymore. You have the Freedom Tower. I know whenever I go to New York, it's the first thing I think about when I look at Lower Manhattan. I don't think of anything else. I think of 9/11. But from a sports sense, if you remember when the NFL resumed and the baseball playoffs and the World Series, what that was like. And when the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in 7 games, but those games, the patriotism in both ballparks and everything that went with it, that's a period of time that I will never, ever forget for many, many reasons. Many reasons. But doing the show, not talking about sports for days and days and days, and yet just trying to heal as a country and move forward. And it was really sports that kind of brought the country back on its feet. And on a side note, I had a chance to go on Air Force One about roughly 10 years ago at Moffett Air Force Base in San Jose. I knew the head purser for Air Force One, and to make a long story short, they were scheduled. It was towards the end of President Obama's tenure or thereabouts. And I'll never forget going on Air Force One and having a tour. So it was so great that I ended up sitting in the captain's chair in the cockpit 90 minutes before the president got on board. You don't normally have a tour where you end up sitting in the captain's chair of Air Force One. The Secret Service was on board, the pilots, the Air Force pilots, and I spoke to the captain who was on the flight on Thanksgiving, if you remember when George Bush flew on a secret flight that nobody knew Air Force One was flying over to Iraq to surprise the troops. And he was the captain, and he talked about what that was like, where they were really, no one knew where that Air Force One was going to that part of the world in a war environment. And it was just pretty amazing. Everything that, but the one thing that was, I'll never forget is that when I went into the conference room on Air Force One, I was told that when George Bush was speaking to the children down in Florida and was given word in his ear of what was unfolding that morning and went quickly to Air Force One back then. And you want to talk about how technology has changed in the world. On 9/11, 2001, the technology did not exist for the president of the United States to address the country on board Air Force One. And now when you go on Air Force One in that conference room above the president's chair at the end of the conference table, it says on air, Air Force One, so that if the president ever had to address the country, there would be a light above the presidential seal that would say on air. So it's just amazing how everything's changed. But I wanted to spend a couple of minutes on this because I'll never forget from a sports perspective what that period of time was like. And I'm not even talking about real life and the people that lost their lives and the domino effect. And I'll tell you, if anybody wants to ever go to New York and you want to just take a walk, particularly through Lower Manhattan, if you walk by any of the firehouses anywhere in Lower Manhattan, even in Midtown Manhattan, but particularly in Lower Manhattan, most of the time they have the doors open to where the fire trucks are. And on the wall in every single firehouse in New York City, every single one, there's a list of the names that perished that day on 9/11. It is just so powerful to walk through the streets of New York City and particularly Lower Manhattan and see how many names are in tribute on the wall at these firehouses. It's incredible. Every time I go to New York, I just take a walk and I'm just like, wow, it's just a reminder. All right, let's turn back to sports now. We've got a game tonight. You got Washington at Green Bay, both teams winning last week. The Giants with their prevent offense last week. The Packers, I thought, were as good as any team in football. They were incredible, beating the Detroit Lions, and not only beating the Detroit Lions, completely throttling the Detroit Lions. You know, I just got a text. This is pretty remarkable. FP Santangelo just texted me. He played on the first playoff game at Yankee Stadium for the A's right after that. FP, if you want to come on, let me give you the number. If you call the number, I would love to have you on to talk about that. 916 FP 779-0929. That's 779-0929. Let me give it to you again. 916-779-0929. Because, the Yankees played the A's in the playoffs, and FP was at Yankee Stadium, and I believe, I don't want to put words in his mouth, I believe that he actually went down to ground zero while he was in New York right after 9/11. I had not gone to ground zero for about 6 months, but that's pretty amazing. So if FP, you can call it 916-779-0929. I'll be happy to put you on. All right. Well, I think he's right there. He can go on the regular line. If you want me to put him on the hotline, I can. But if he just calls on the regular line, we can put him on there. But I'll never forget that period of time. And FB would have a much better, I guess, perspective than I would going into New York and being on that field right after 9/11 when sports resumed at Yankee Stadium. Man, wow. FP, buddy, I really appreciate you listening to the show and, reminiscing about what that was like. Of course, for those of you that don't know, FP, Major League Baseball, started his career with the Expos, obviously with the Giants. Now he's with the Giants broadcast and on the radio. And but FP, man, it's great to have you on. How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm doing great, Grant. It's great to have you back on the radio, number one. And I was just listening in my house because the Giants have an off day today. And that was just awesome stuff about 9/11 that you just did. So I sent you the text and I said, I was part of the playoffs at Yankee Stadium, the first playoff game ever after 9/11. And I just thought what you said was so powerful just now. And it's a somber day in our nation's history. And I'm glad that you're taking time out on your show to remember. It's really cool.
Well, I appreciate that. Take me back to being in New York right after 9/11 and what comes to your mind. I mean, that had to be so powerful, and you're there to try to win a playoff game and a playoff series. But I mean, that was, I mean, what was it like staying in Manhattan? Talk to me.
Well, I mean, it was weird. I mean, when we flew in on the team charter, we flew over Manhattan, and that was a little over a month after 9/11. It was still smoldering. Maybe not a month, but it was a good three weeks or so. And we looked down and saw ground zero was still smoldering. And then, some of the players on an off day went to the different firehouses throughout Manhattan. The superstars that made an impact, like Giambi and Damon, and those guys went out and about to all the firehouses in Manhattan. And then the first playoff game, we do the introductions, Grant, and we're on the third baseline. The Yankees are on first baseline. It's obviously old Yankee Stadium. And they unfurl a flag in center field that's all tattered and torn, and it was from the World Trade Center. So we're trying to keep it together, right? Everybody's kind of emotional. And then you look at the semicircle around home plate, and it was NYPD, different departments with representatives, NYFD, Port Authority. The last three guys on the Yankee side of the semicircle were straight from ground zero firefighters, and they were in their long trench coats, and they were covered in dust with their helmets on.
Wow.
And Joe Torre and Paul O'Neill, they went over and gave them hugs. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And we're on TV, and we're macho men, and we don't want to cry, and we're all wiping tears away from our eyes on the third baseline. And 51,000 people start chanting USA. And it was pretty cool at that time. And then fast forward to the whole series, you know how it went, the Jeter flip play, and
Sure.
we didn't want to get into the details. But so we go back for game 5. And I kind of knew that was my last game as a major leaguer. And it was toward the end. I was 36 years old. And we lost game 5. And I sat in the dugout for 15 minutes by myself in Yankee Stadium and watched the place go nuts. And if you remember, the upper deck would bounce, right? When you could actually see the upper deck kind of bouncing. Yep. And it was the only time in my career I was okay with losing. I'm like, these people need this more than we do.
That's very, very powerful. You know, you've been involved in baseball as a former player, now broadcaster. You just talked about that Derek Jeter flip. Is that as good as any play you've ever seen in baseball?
It is, because I played shortstop most of my career, and as you know, I evolved into a utility player at the major league level. And at no point at any level, at Sac City, University of Miami, A-ball, all the way up to the big leagues, on a ball down the first baseline into the corner, did I ever float in the middle of the field where I was the cutoff man to third, or if the ball went to third or ball went to home, you floated down the first baseline. I'd never seen that before, never heard of it before. And I saw Jeter, you know, as soon as the throw went high from Shane Spencer in right field, the backstory to that is Jeremy Giambi had a pulled hamstring. So Eric Burns and I were supposed to pinch run. His hamstring was purple and gold and blue and every other color in the rainbow. And so we turned to Art Howe and it's like, Art, which one of us is running? And he just gave me the hold on sign. And then Jason Giambi was down by Art. And Jason's like, Art, come on. Like, we got to run for Jeremy. He's hurt. And nobody did. And so Art left him on first. Terrence Long hit the ball down. The throw went high, as everybody remembers.
Yep.
So fast forward to the following spring training, Jason signs the big contract with the Yankees. I'm a non-roster invite to camp with the Yankees. And one of our first ever practices, they didn't believe in doing cutoffs and relays on the field like most teams. Joe Torre just sat us all in a room with a whiteboard, and he showed us what they do on that play. And he looked at Jason and I, and he goes, FP, Jason, we're not joking here. This is a play we work on. And he diagrammed that play that beat us in the playoffs. So they actually worked on that play. And that was
That's
part of their cutoffs and relays, where Jeter actually did read that. It wasn't just like he ran out of nowhere all willy-nilly. That was a play that they implemented in spring training every year that I'd never seen at any level ever. And Billy Beane to this day still says that's the best team he's ever had. And we all thought we were going to win the World Series, but, you know, along came Derek Jeter with the flip play, and the rest is history.
FP Santangelo, nice enough to call us here on Fox Sports Sacramento. FP, it wasn't that long ago, a couple of weeks, where the Giants looked like they were dead in the water. The mental mistakes, the base running mistakes, the just fundamental baseball was so bad. And then they have completely turned it around. And as we get down the stretch here, they're 2 games back of the Mets. What do you attribute the turnaround to?
Hard to say one thing, but they went into Milwaukee, and Milwaukee was 42-20 at the time with the best home record in baseball. And they took 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. And all of a sudden, you know, the flight back was a little more happy, I guess. And you could see the guys start to loosen up a little bit. They came home, they swept the Cubs, who, you know, have a really good team. And Devers started to hit, and then Adames started to hit, and then Chapman was doing his thing. And then that's how a lineup works, right? If Adames is hitting, then you got to pitch to Devers, who's in front of him. And if, you know, and if Chapman's hitting, you got to pitch to Adames. And just, so a lot of guys started to get to the back of their baseball cards and turn it around. And then, you know, they call up this maniac, Drew Gilbert from AAA, who's just injected life into the whole ball club. And all the guys love him, and they're just letting him do his thing. And he just, I don't know, he reminds me of Lenny Dykstra on the field, kind of type of player, but he's got so much energy. So now all of a sudden, Grant, you've been around teams where it becomes super corporate, it's business. You know, you check in, you check out, and for whatever reason, these guys realize that baseball is fun again, that it's like Little League, and they can't wait to get to the ballpark. They have celebrations in the dugout, and they're actually having fun playing baseball. And I watch a lot of baseball every day on the package, and I think they're playing as well or better than anybody in the big leagues right now. We'll just see how this thing pans out.
Well, when you say can't wait to get to the ballpark, I know you, and you can't wait to get to the ballpark tomorrow. That place is going to be off the hook this weekend with the Dodgers coming in. These are big, big games for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, they got it lined up with the big boys pitching, so we'll see Verlander tomorrow, and then I think it's Robbie Ray and Logan Webb, or something to that effect. I might have got the order mixed up. But then, you know, Yamamoto's pitching tomorrow night for the Dodgers. So let's go. Bring it on, man. The Dodgers are playing okay baseball right now. The Giants are playing great baseball right now.
Yeah.
I was going to go home to see the parents in El Dorado Hills this weekend. I said, guys, I got to put this on hold. It's you know, there's only a few more games left at the ballpark. It's Giants-Dodgers weekend, and hopefully, I mean, 2 out of 3 would be great, but you just got to win tomorrow, man. Every game is so important right now. They're 2 back of the Mets, who are absolutely floundering. I watched them play, Grant, you probably do too. They're just kind of lifeless right now. They're just deer in the headlights, and They're playing with no love for the game. They're not having fun, and the Giants are having fun.
FP, it's so awesome for you to message me and come on the show. I forgot about that, that you were there at Yankee Stadium playing. That's wow. I don't know what else to say. Wow. You know how much I appreciate you, buddy. We've known each other for a long time, and I'm very happy for your success and everything you've accomplished in your career and then post-career with broadcasting, buddy. Really happy for you. I can't tell you enough how happy I am for your success.
Well, same. You belong on the air. You're back where you belong. And I hope Sacramento's listening to you. I hope everybody's listening to you because you're absolutely great at what you do. It's always been great being your friends. And I'm so happy for you that you're back on the air. But you're getting a little older now. You kind of sound like Paul Harvey a little bit. I was listening earlier. You remember Paul Harvey? I'm going to pick up the tempo a little bit.
I listen to him every night.
Yeah.
Well, I could be like you and put, getting Botox injections on social media. Should I do that? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah. Never give up, Grant. Never give up. Never give up.
Take care, buddy. I appreciate you. Take care.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Grant. Love to hear you on the air. Good job.
Thank you, buddy. That's good stuff right there. Hey, football is back, and so is your shot at big wins with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats from breakout rookies to elite quarterbacks and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. Like tonight, all right, you look at the quarterbacks. You see the total yards. They're going to throw for more or less. It's that simple. And then here's to the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Place just $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Hey, it's Grant Napear. Do you need a maintenance check or an emergency repair on a heating or cooling unit? DAS Mechanical will take care of all of your heating, cooling, ventilation, and energy needs. DAS Mechanical will provide you with a full consultation. They'll explain all of your available options so that you can choose the system that's right for your home or business. And DAS Mechanical serves both residential and commercial clients, and they offer a variety of money-saving solutions. Go check out their website, dasmechanical.org, and look at all of their 5-star reviews and their best of awards. And remember, special financing is available, including 0% interest for 18 months. Again, check out dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org. Their awesome reviews, their awards. Can't go wrong at dasmechanical.org.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouth-watering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When is the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's
– 82 times a year after the Kings game on If You Don't Like That, plus other programming centered around the Kings. So in addition to this radio show every day from 3 to 6, our podcast, I think we'll be covering the Kings better than anybody in the market, and I can't wait.
No, awesome. That's great. I did have one question because I've never been into the whole radio thing, but I am going to do it now since you're on it. Do you guys have replays on your old shows, or you don't?
Yes, we are very close. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring Ryan in right now. I'll let you take this off the air, okay? Because Ryan is much better at this than I. Ryan, we've got a lot of different ways for people to listen to the show now. So why don't you run down the latest as of yesterday and what's on the horizon? Well, maybe I can't talk to Rhino. That's okay. So the show is now being streamed, all right, on YouTube. Go to Fox Sports Sacramento YouTube channel, and you can listen to the show that way, right? And very soon, podcast will be available so that you will be able to listen to all episodes of the show. So it's all there. Just bear with us. We appreciate your patience, but more than that, we appreciate your interest in the show. But again, right now, in addition to the Fox Sports app, which I highly recommend that you download, the Fox Sports app, we're available on the station website. We're also being streamed right now on YouTube and X, and Ryan has been working very hard to do that. And then the company is moving to a new podcast format that we will be on very shortly. So thank you very much. Greatly appreciate that. All right, let's get to some more phone calls at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. And we say hello to Jeff. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Grant, how are you?
Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I wish I was there at Bennett's, but I live like 2 hours away, so can't be there.
No problem, buddy. I appreciate you calling the show. I understand.
Hey, I want to talk about the injury bug with the 49ers already, like you
it's not
predicted.
Good.
They
it's
just
not good.
can't afford Brock Purdy. What do you know about turf toe? I Googled it, but I didn't get too much information. How long is he supposed to be out?
Well, there's NFL Network said maybe 5 weeks, 2 to 5 weeks. Turf toe is absolutely one of the worst things you can have as a professional athlete. You would think, gee, it's just your toe, fight through it. turf toe I had turf toe once and in college. And I want to tell you something, like you can't do anything. You can try to be, the toughest guy in the world. But what also happens is you end up changing your gait and you end up messing up your ankle and your ligaments and everything else. Turf toe is no messing. I don't know how long you've been watching the NFL, but Jack Lambert, the great middle linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers, had turf toe, and he fought through it. And then when he didn't play, everybody was, calling him a wussy. Wait, whoa. Number 58, Jack Lambert, you're calling him soft? Are you freaking kidding me? Seriously? Jack Lambert? Soft?
Right.
I mean, when you have turf toe, no, I'm serious. Turf toe is awful.
Wow. Is it a dislocation? The toe's dislocated?
No, it's not dislocated. Look it up. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a podiatrist, and I don't want to give out the wrong information. All I know is it is a really bad injury to have if you're a professional athlete. It is awful.
Well, how do you think Matt Jones is going to do?
Well, he's got experience, right? I mean, it's not like he's never played before. So my biggest issue is he doesn't have George Kittle to throw to. The wide receiver core is very thin. You look at New Orleans and you're thinking, well, gee, they're not going to be very good this year. But I got to give them credit. I was really pretty impressed with how they played on Sunday. And they lost they didn't lose. They could have very easily tied the game, and what looked like a touchdown from Spencer Rattler into the end zone, and the ball was knocked out of the receiver's hands that would have probably tied the game up. But this is not going to be easy. And it's not only this game, Jeff. Then you got to go home and play, Arizona and Jacksonville, and then you've got the Rams on a short week, and you're not going to have Kittle, and you may not have Purdy. This is going to be a really tough chore for the 49ers.
Right. All right, Graham. Well, you have a good time down there at Bennett.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right.
And again, if you want to come down to Bennett's, we would love to have you. They've got the hot dog bar out right now. It's complimentary along with the chips. Thursday Night Football looks like a very good matchup with Washington at Green Bay. Jerry Reynolds is going to be here at 5 o'clock. He'll be on with me for the final hour. Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. He'll be on at 4 o'clock, and we'll talk both college and the NFL. Georgia, Tennessee, pretty good game this week. Notre Dame, A&M, pretty good game this week. We'll talk to Chris mostly about the NFL, but we'll touch on college football as well. Let me pass out those phone numbers again, 916-779-0929. Rhino, if you're free right now, I'll bring you in again. If I'm missing anything as far as what the question was, I'd love to have you be able to tell everybody the various ways they can listen to the show.
Yeah, no, you did a really good job, Grant. That was like a live read, like you had print in front of you. What you can do.
Because I listen to you when you talk to me. You think I don't listen. See, I was listening to you when you were explaining everything to me.
Good job. See, closer and closer to that A+. We're grading each other this week. So
yeah, that's right, buddy.
Yeah. So anybody that wants to find the show right now to re-listen to an episode, you got to subscribe to Fox Sports Sacramento on YouTube. Make sure also you are downloading the KSAC app, Fox Sports Sacramento, and checking the Fox Sports Sacramento website. But you will be able to find replays on YouTube.
Yep.
Make sure you subscribe. As for the podcast, we are going through a new process that's being implemented right now. Fox, all the stations with Fox, and podcasts on traditional spots, Apple, Spotify, such will be available very soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate that. Hey, we'll move right along. We'll go ahead. Something else?
Yeah, I do want to share something about 9/11.
Yeah. Please do.
Great segment, by the way. Like Alex said,
Thank you.
I was sitting in class and our English teacher just rolled the TV up on the cart. The TVs were always on the cart at that time. And said, you're watching history. Your kids will read about this in their textbooks. And I had been to New York before. I'd been on top of the towers, and I thought I had a sense of what really happened. I was in New York 2 years later and was able to see Ground Zero. Grant, I've been to the Grand Canyon. I've been a number of places. And it was unfathomable to understand how big of a segment was taken out of that city. When you see that in person, it just took your breath away.
Not only that, but I remember going to Ground Zero shortly thereafter, and there were posters of the people that had still been missing all over Lower Manhattan because you got to remember this is now 2001. It's from a technological perspective, it's not the way it is now. And tracking people and at various hospitals, hey, have you seen this person? Again, people were being taken to medical facilities without any ID. Those that had perished, no identification on them. So it was quite a period of time. And I'll never forget. I'll never forget walking down to that area of the city and seeing all of the faces on flyers and posters all over Lower Manhattan. Have you seen this person? Have you seen this person? Do you know this person? It was just something you'll never ever forget.
Nope. And that's why I love the never forget.
Yep. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Don't forget Chris Landry coming up at 4:00. I'll come right back. Your phone calls are welcome at 916-779-0929. This is Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports Traffic. Our first look at the roadways dealing with a problem on I-80 westbound at Marysville Boulevard. That accident scene is off to the shoulder. Stop and go traffic from Longview Drive as you make your way to that accident scene. Starting to see some heavy rush hour delays exist, but we're working an accident on Highway 99 southbound at 12th Avenue. Everything is off to the shoulder there. Eastbound, westbound US 50, top of the town freeway, Howe Avenue. You are dealing with about a 30-minute drive. I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe. Call locally owned Gabrud's for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabrud's, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Downtown Ford of Sacramento has been in business since 1911. And as the oldest Ford dealership in California, we've provided cars and trucks for generations of Sacramento families. And you may not know it, but Downtown Ford provides the emergency vehicles for just about every law enforcement agency in the Sacramento region. Providing vehicles for emergency responders is a tradition of service we're truly proud of. And today, Downtown Ford has expanded to include their Howe Avenue location. So, with 2 Ford stores and literally acres of new and certified pre-owned vehicles in stock, we definitely have the Ford that you've been dreaming of. And if you're not quite ready to get into the brand new Ford of your dreams, we probably have a certified pre-owned version of the same vehicle for substantially less. If the open road is calling you, get to Downtown Ford Sacramento. DowntownFordSacramento.com.
private money. Check out Village Financial Group at vfgloans.com or call Spencer at 916-805-4868. Be sure and call for the investor special as well. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. We take your phone calls at 916-779-0929. My good buddy OB just walked in. And for those of you that have listened to me, you know that I played lacrosse and played here in Sacramento, club lacrosse, until I was 50. And to this day, I owe it to OB for scoring 10 goals in a game where he gave me 10 assists. Johnny Doig was the goalie, and I said, OB, hit me the ball inside the restraining line, and I'm going to buzz one right by his ear. And he gave me the ball. I come in through the restraining line, and I had a good shot, OB. And I wound up. And Johnny Doig's got his stick up in front of his face. He was scared. And I whistled one right by his ear hole. And after that, every time I shot, he would duck. I had 10 goals, and OB fed me 10 times. So 10 assists for OB, 10 goals for Napear. Yeah. I'll never forget that first shot. I wound up, and I was like, it went right by his ear hole. I told OB I was going to do it too. I go, OB, I'm going to rattle him the first time so that the rest of the game is easy. It worked, huh? Hey, I'll never forget that. Hey, we actually felt bad for him after a while. You know, I thought he was going to wet his pants in the goal when I was coming down on a fast break. I was like, oh my gosh. And you know, he was a great guy, Johnny Doig. And I was like, oh my God. I actually felt bad for him. After the game, I said, hey man, I said to him, I said, I'll never hit you. Don't worry about it. He was like, I was so scared. I go, don't worry about it. I'm not going to hit you, dude. And you know, we wear a helmet. He's got a chest protector, but I'm going, Johnny, I'm going for the corners. Don't worry. I'm not going to hit you except for the first one. I'm not kidding you. I almost hit him in the helmet on the side. And after that, he was like, he was just a scaredy cat in the goal. All right. Good memories. 916-779-0929. Oh, I remember that like it was yesterday. That was just incredible. OB, I'm open. I know, Napes. Don't worry. I'll get you the ball again. Johnny's shaking in the goal like a leaf. Just feed me up top. Don't worry. I got it. That was amazing. All right. Again, give me a call at 916-779-0929. And don't forget that at 4 o'clock, Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. And then 5 o'clock, the one and only Jerry Reynolds will be here. Hope everybody is enjoying the hot dog bar. Complimentary with the chips. Complimentary. Thanks to Brian Bennett. As we are at Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. I had a phenomenal meal here last night. Did the prime New York medium. So I probably won't have to eat for 3 days after that. It was just great. Had just a great time out here at Bennett's. I think since I walked off the airplane, I think I've been to Bennett's 8 or 9 times. It's the best. Absolutely love it. So happy to be here, getting ready for Thursday Night Football as we have got Washington at Green Bay. That should be a dandy for a Thursday night matchup. Both teams have high aspirations. I mean, when you think about Washington last year, you know, they were in the NFC Championship game after beating Detroit in their second round at Detroit when they were number 1 seed, and they pretty much beat them easily. And then they lost to Philadelphia. They weren't quite ready to take on that challenge. But this game tonight, I think both these teams could be standing deep into January. So this really should be a very good game. Again, we are welcome to take your phone calls if you want to give us a shout at 916-779-0929. If you joined us a little bit late, my thanks to FP Santangelo, who was listening and called and talked about his experience on 9/11 being at Yankee Stadium right after the attacks on 9/11. Seriously, that was very powerful stuff. I had forgotten about that. I had forgotten that FP was in that series, which went the distance in 5 games. And, of course, that Derek Jeter flip, still one of the great plays in, I think, ever in baseball, particularly in the baseball playoffs. All right, don't forget about college football this weekend. We got a couple good games. I think Georgia at Tennessee should be a good game. Notre Dame at A&M. We got a really good schedule coming up on Sunday in the NFL. And I think a game you got to really keep an eye on is Philadelphia at Kansas City. And I think you're going to find out a lot about Kansas City this week in terms of is their run of 9 straight division titles going to end or not? Now, the following week, the Chiefs play against the Giants prevent offense on Sunday Night Football at MetLife. So they'll win that game. But this is a game against Philadelphia. And, you look at Jalen Carter is going to be back in the middle. The Kansas City Chiefs, who's going to be able to line up at wideout? You look at that offensive line. Is it as good as it's been? You got Kelsey, who's probably on the last year of his great career. And you got a Philadelphia team who's good on offense, good on defense. And here's the deal. If Kansas City loses, they're going to be at least 2 games behind because the Chargers play the Raiders on Monday Night Football. It's a doubleheader, and they've got the second game. So if the Chiefs lose at home Sunday afternoon to Philadelphia, they're going to be 2 games back of somebody. Unless, of course, the Chargers and the Raiders would end up in a tie, or, I'm not forgetting about Denver. They go to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. They could be 2-0. So you could have 2 teams in the division that are 2-0, and they could be 0-2. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but, you got to look at this game. If you look at both rosters right now next to one another, and you look at the health of both teams, you'd have to say that Philadelphia is better. Now, you have the rematch from the Super Bowl. They've played in 2 Super Bowls, and you saw the dominance last year of Philadelphia with Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts was great. And I thought Hurts was tremendous last week in the opening game. So this is going to be a heck of a game coming up on Sunday. I think there are a lot of good games. I actually think the Buffalo at the Jets game is going to be a close game. Buffalo coming off that huge emotional win on Sunday night. The Jets had the Steelers right where they wanted them, and then they let it get away in Aaron Glenn's debut at MetLife. That's going to be a very good game. I want to see about the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Seattle, after, again, a very difficult loss to San Francisco, they go on the road to play at Pittsburgh. I was a little disappointed in the Pittsburgh defense. I didn't expect the offense to bail them out. They bailed them out. Aaron Rodgers played very, very well. He got beat up. Left tackle could be an issue for Pittsburgh. I think Seattle should be able to exploit that. The Seahawks defense, I think, will keep this will be a very low-scoring game, I think. I don't see Pittsburgh being able to move the ball up and down the field on that Seattle defense. And, we saw Seattle's offense last week. Ball control. They didn't really go up and down the field on San Francisco's defense. So I could see this being a very low-scoring game. But I think this is going to be one of the best games of the weekend when you have Seattle going to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. But Aaron Rodgers, at age 41, he's not moving the way he did, obviously, but he still has the tremendous arm. Came up with the big play when you needed it. So that's a game that you definitely want to keep an eye on. I do not like the doubleheader on Monday night. I understand why they do it. It's for TV. It's for the money. I don't like it. You've got the first game with Tampa and Houston, and then the nightcap should be a dandy with the Chargers and the Raiders. Did you see the average number of people tuning into NFL games in the first week? If you don't think that NFL is king in America, just look at the numbers. 23 million, 24 million people averaging watching NFL football in week 1. And you think about like Christmas Day, right? And the absurdity of LeBron James saying that, Christmas is the NBA and the NBA is Christmas. And yeah, really? Let me tell you something. You're not even in the same zip code, area code as the NFL. The NFL on Christmas is like men against boys when you compare it to the NBA now on Christmas. It's no contest. Absolutely no contest at all. People in this country are always going to gravitate to the NFL over the NBA, and I don't see that ever changing, or at least not in my lifetime, that's for sure. I don't see it changing. And we always say, well, the NBA doesn't really begin until Christmas Day, and it's their big marquee day. Well, guess what? The NFL has stolen that marquee day away from the NBA. Absolutely destroyed them. You look at the ratings on Christmas Day, you look at the number of people that are watching the NBA and the number of people that are watching the NFL. It's not even close. It's really not even close. But we got a ways to go before Christmas. OB, I want a new lacrosse stick for Christmas, all right? See if I can score 10 goals again, all right? Thank you. I don't know. I got to find a goalie, though, who's scared. If you can find me a goalie who's going to duck when I shoot, that would be perfect. Give me 10 goals again, buddy. 5 on the right side, 5 on the left side, all right? 5, you got to do it. Got to go both ways. Boom, boom. Yeah, we're there. Oh, right there, OB. Right in the window, buddy. Boom. 10 assists for OB. See, I'm making you famous today on the radio here. I love it. It's all good. Don't forget Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com, coming up at 4 o'clock. Jerry Reynolds at 5 o'clock. If you're in the area, come on down to Bennett's West Side Grill, right off 65 and Blue Oaks Boulevard. Got the complimentary hot dog bar and the chips. So come on down and enjoy that. We'll watch Thursday Night Football together. This should be a heck of a game with Washington at the Green Bay Packers. So we've got quite a good little crowd right now. A couple of my regulars. Got my buddy Adam here. We're all ready. And then come on down. Get off work. Get off school. Come on down to Bennett's. And we will have a really, really good time. That's right. That's right. You got it, Adam. Every time I go on remote, Adam is there. I don't think I've ever done a live show anywhere, whether it's Tahoe or here in Sacramento, without my buddy Adam coming down to see me. So just like old times, buddy, we're back. My biggest fan. He listens to the show every day, 3 hours. You're the best. Yes, absolutely. You are the freaking best. We got to get you a PPM. Can we work on that? You know, there's my man right there. Oh, it's not legal? I'm sorry. Erase that. All right. That's a joke. All right. Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. Can't wait. LandryFootball.com.
Officials wrapping up that earlier problem. I-80 westbound at Marysville Boulevard. Everything is off to the shoulder. Still got stop-and-go traffic from Longview Drive down to that accident scene. Also an accident 99 southbound at 12th Avenue. Still off to the shoulder. You still got stop-and-go traffic pretty much from Mack Road as you make your way there as well. So give yourself that extra time, and heavy rush hour delays pretty much throughout the entire Sacramento area. With twice an hour traffic, I'm in Fox Sports Sacramento.
Tired of the same old routine? Need a place where the beer flows and the good times roll? Then head to Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Family owned and operated, so you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss everyday happy hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
Skeeter here. Got a question. What's small and dark with white bands on its legs and bites during the day?
Mosquitoes. Hi, I'm Luz Maria Robles, but these are two new types of day-biting mosquitoes. They're invading our area and becoming a big problem.
And they can be dangerous.
But we're on it, so when you see them, report it at fightthebite.net. In the meantime, use insect repellent and drain stagnant water around your yard.
We're here to help with these day-biting mosquitoes.
Visit us at fightthebite.net.
Business owners, Grant Napier's back, bringing Fox Sports Radio to the forefront of sports talk in Sacramento. That means more listeners, more potential customers who could be spending money for your products and services. This is Kurt Bagelman, General Manager for Fox Sports Radio in Sacramento. Grant's back, and his return is an opportunity for your business. Listen, the sports talk audience is a target-rich group of consumers. 80% are employed. Nearly 60% earn six-figure incomes. 67% own their homes. Take advantage of the attention Grant's return has generated to tell people where to spend their money. This is a unique opportunity to increase your sales right now. It costs nothing to learn how a good strategy and a great commercial message heard by sports fans could help your business. So call me, 916-779-0914. 779-0914. Radio and Grant get results, and we are here to help. Call 779-0914.
The voice of Sacramento sports is back.
Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now. Grant Napier.
Second hour, we're going to talk some football as we are at Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland. Glad to have you with us, and good to have this man, Chris Landry from LandryFootball.com, on every Thursday at this time. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good, Grant. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Let's talk a little college football first, and a very interesting matchup at Neyland Stadium with the Georgia Bulldogs coming in to take the Volunteers of Tennessee. Your thoughts?
Well, Georgia's really had the advantage here for the last several meetings, and I think this is probably the best chance that Tennessee's had, probably since Josh has been there. I think, to me, it's going to be, how they're able to play at the line of scrimmage against Georgia. Can they, to get an early lead, I think at home would help a lot. But I think this is an intriguing one, no question. Georgia's not looked great, but that's typical Georgia. They play close to the vest. I'm curious to see how this one plays out, how many points are going to be in it, quite frankly. But until Georgia's beaten by Tennessee, you got to give them a little bit of an edge. But I think this is a good opportunity for Tennessee.
All right, let's go to Notre Dame. A huge game after losing to Miami, and now you've got A&M coming into town. They are ranked, I think, 16th currently. Young quarterback for Notre Dame. They obviously have to win this game. You can't lose too early on in the month of September, and there are high expectations this year for the Fighting Irish. What do you like about this team? And talk to me about Carr, the quarterback.
Well, I think Carr's really good. He's got a lot of potential. I think Reese is good for A&M. But I like this Notre Dame team. I think they're, like they've been the past few years, really good at the line of scrimmage. And I kind of like them in this game a little bit. I'm curious to see how Texas A&M plays it, because I think that they're going to have a hard time beating Notre Dame at their game, line of scrimmage, run the football. But that's really how A&M plays. So I think this is going to be a good, old-fashioned physical game at the line of scrimmage, and we can see who maybe can get more out of their passing game. That's probably going to determine who wins it.
Last year in the SEC, Vanderbilt had some very surprising games, particularly at home when they beat Alabama. Diego Pavia is a huge story. Vanderbilt's not a doormat anymore, but it would be quite an accomplishment to go in and win at South Carolina, would it not?
It would be a great win for him. And listen, Diego Pavia is one of those special winners that made the real difference in this Vanderbilt team. But I'm going to tell you, that is a tough environment they're going in. South Carolina is better, and playing at home, I think this will be a big time upset in my view. I think that South Carolina is a better team. They might even win sizably in this matchup.
All right, let's move along to the NFL as we're talking with Chris Landry from LandryFootball.com. You've been scouting football pretty much your entire adult life. When you look at quarterbacks, both in college and now I'm going to keep it to the NFL, there's so much talk about Caleb Williams and not being able to throw the simple pitch and catch that there's just a concern on that. What do you see when you watch Caleb Williams?
Well, I think a lot of it, mechanically, there's some things that he's got to improve upon, and be able to help. I think one of the difficult processes is, throwing the short pass, taking something off of it. It's like being a baseball pitcher. You can't just throw the fastball all the time and they'll sit on it. You've got to be able to layer the ball, feather the ball a little bit. I think that is something that just from a mechanical standpoint, you can improve some of it. But a lot of it is just accuracy. In large part, is just about how you throw it, and how you throw it when you're a kid is how you end up throwing it when you get older. To me, it's about placement. It's about understanding, developing touch. And I think we're going to see some improvement in that area, but I don't think we're going to see a drastic change of what he is. But I think that he's got it in him to be a little bit more finesse thrower than we've seen to this point in his career.
Chris, and of course, the quarterback on the other side of the field, J.J. McCarthy, making his first NFL start. I was talking about this. I've been watching football since the 60s, and I don't recall a quarterback playing in their first game, winning over a locker room the way he did in that fourth quarter. I mean, that was something else, wasn't it?
Oh, it really was. He's been a natural leader really through his entire life, and he certainly was that at Michigan. But it is something special. And you think about it, he's in any way other than just the fact that it's his second year. He's a rookie. I mean, basically, just being around certainly his last year helped, but that's mostly rehab. Some guys are just natural leaders. He's one of them.
I don't want to get too crazy after one game. Did you like him coming out of Michigan? I mean, did you have him high on your draft board?
I did, but quite frankly, and listen, I want to see him play more than just one game and have a nice win.
Of course.
But he's to me a little bit better than I thought he was, and I gave him a good grade. Yes, I did.
Chris, offensive lines in the NFL, it seems the teams that don't have a good offensive line lose, and that would be the team I root for, the New York Giants. And some things never change. Of course, they really miss Andrew Thomas, their outstanding left tackle, when he's not on the field. But I just don't understand. And again, I'm asking you because you've been in front offices, you deal with personnel, how a team can continue year after year after year to miss on draft picks, whether it's Evan Neal or Eric Flowers, and I mean go on and on. So many draft picks that the Giants have made in offensive linemen have just not panned out.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is when you rely a lot upon your offensive line coach, and sometimes those guys are not very good at evaluating. And the Giants do a really good job of involving everybody, but you're right, they've missed it. So have the Houston Texans. Houston Texans are a deep playoff team if they have an offensive line. Really good defense, quarterback that's good. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they may win that division because it's weak. Bad offensive line. And I think the Giants, but they've really done a good job on the defensive line. But on the offensive line, they've missed. It really comes down to evaluation and development. And I think when you have that, you know internally what the problem is because you know who evaluates players. And a lot of it is, okay, you go out, you evaluate, you look for a certain critical factor and standard for players at each position. But I think sometimes it's the involvement of the coaches that come in sometimes and that can really sway how players are on the draft board. And sometimes it's just bad luck, but there's just too much consistency there, particularly with the Giants, to just throw it off to just a couple of bad picks. They're really not doing a good job of evaluating that position.
You talked about C.J. Stroud. In his rookie season, he was just outstanding. You look at Jaden Daniels last year, rookie season, outstanding. And you see a lot of other top quarterbacks come in, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work or they move on. I mean, you can talk about Baker Mayfield. They needed 4 teams. You can talk about Sam Darnold that needed, several years, and now Zach Wilson. I mean, there were a lot of guys that come in and fail. So when you look at C.J. Stroud and when you look last year at Jaden Daniels, is it a combination of things? First and foremost, they're very talented, so we get that. Is it just being in the right situation? Is it coaching? Is it the offensive line? Like, what do you attribute those guys' success to being that good that early in their career?
Well, I think that a couple of things. Every situation is a little unique, but let's say C.J. Stroud. It's more offensive line regression. The guy can still play. There's no question that after you have a rookie year, you have a little better feel for how to play a guy. But, it's not like he's just in a slump. It's just there's not protection. So what happens when you don't have good play up front? Well, you can't run the football consistently. You get behind in games. You become one-dimensional. People can tee off on your offensive line, which is not very good to begin with. But when you don't have balance because you are trailing, it's going to have a very negative effect on what your play calling is, your down and distance situation. I mean, in this league, you've got to be able to play from a front position. You've got to play from, second and third and short and have opportunities in some cases to have a wasted down that you can take chances with. That is the real difference. I think the ability, like with Jaden Daniels, he can run a little bit. With CJ, I thought they did a really good job that first year. Quite frankly, they were a little bit better up front than they have been last year. And I think this year, although they've made changes, I don't think it's been positive changes on the offensive line. And unless some young guys grow up really quickly, that's going to continue to be a problem. They had a really weak offensive line and lost their best offensive lineman last year. So it's only getting worse, and that's contributing to the quarterback issues.
Chris Landry joining us here on the Grant Napear Show. Chris, a lot of 49er fans in our area and already been decimated by injuries. We know about George Kittle on IR. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks. Now you look at the quarterback and Brock Purdy, turf toe, and some reports saying that he might be out multiple weeks. So talk to the 49er fans about Mac Jones. I mean, he almost was drafted by the 49ers. That was the word. And then they took Trey Lance. Jones goes to New England. He's got experience. What do you think 49er fans should expect from him?
Well, I think what they like to do, and that's run the football. And I think if they're able to run the football, speaking about playing well at the line of scrimmage, if that continues, I think they can win, this week anyway with Mac Jones. We'll see. Saints are not very good, but played Arizona pretty well last week. No, it is a big issue, and they were decimated all last year due to injuries on the offense on that team overall. But to me, you can't, just like with Purdy, you can't put the ball in Mac Jones's hands and say, we're going to throw it 45 times a game. That's just not a formula for success. It's about balance, controlling the line of scrimmage, working play action. So to me, for them to be successful this week and beyond without Brock Purdy is even more so. Play well at the line of scrimmage, run the football well, play good defense, field position. If that happens, it gives themselves a chance, much better chance of being successful.
You mentioned New Orleans. I thought they played pretty well against Arizona, and there was a tremendous defensive play, knocking the ball out of the end zone on a well-thrown ball by Spencer Rattler. I watched Rattler play a lot at South Carolina. I was so impressed with him in college, and now he's worked his way up. He wins the starting job. Are you a fan of his?
Not all that much. I think that he did a pretty good job. The consistency factor, I think at this point, he's certainly better than more experienced than Tyler Shuck. I'm not sure that he's a guy you can win with consistently, but I do think he's playing fairly well. I thought in the preseason he was inconsistent. Quite frankly, none of the quarterbacks played well in preseason. I agree with you. I thought he played probably the best game he's played. You put parceled a few games last year, you could put a tape and show, hey, this is what the guy can do. But I thought the most consistent performance was last Sunday, and I'm curious to see if they're able to play that way, if it's enough against the Niners.
I'm curious your philosophy, and again, with your experience of being around different situations, and I want to go back to the Giants. If they don't play well on Sunday, you know what the cry, it's already started, Jackson Dart, Jackson Dart. But, how good could a young quarterback be if you have a bad offensive line? Would you go that route, or would you just take your lumps until you get a better offensive line? I mean, it's kind of a fine line, isn't it?
I think your points are well stated about the offensive line. Here's the thing that people miss. Okay, Jackson Dart might be better than any quarterback that they have right now, might be better than Russell Wilson. But you got to remember something. They ruined a previous quarterback and previous quarterbacks over there doing it that way. What's important is they play the long game. You don't put a quarterback in unless you're comfortable as coaches that he knows what to do in each situation. Because the old thing, well, you can't learn on the bench, baloney. You can't. When you don't understand what to do when you're in a game, you begin to revert to habits, very often bad habits, things that you do just that become natural to you, as opposed to ingraining the right habits in there. So what they want to do, and they're not going to tell you this, is they're trying to develop him the right way so that when he's in, it gives them a better chance to be successful and not ruin him like they've ruined some others. And you've mentioned a few quarterbacks at other places around the league. The biggest problem with quarterbacks, I'm not saying that they're all drafted at the right place. They're not. But the biggest problem is development and circumstances and hitting in the right situation. You mentioned it. Baker Mayfield's pretty darn good quarterback, isn't he? Now, we saw Darnold do a good job. I mean, Darnold's not going to be as good this year. You know why? It's better receivers in Minnesota. So it's a lot. Right. A lot of things that go into it, and I think they're looking at it and saying, when they feel comfortable that he knows what to do, then you can help yourself by getting those live bullets in the game and and going after it. But until you do it, remember this: practice does not make perfect; it makes permanent. So if you go in and you have bad mechanics, you have bad decision making, you have bad understanding of what to do, then all you're doing is throwing them on the deep end, and it creates more bad habits. Then you got to go back and break the bad habits before you can move forward. I think that's what's going on. That's why they had that plan. You know that market, and you know it's not going to get better with Russell Wilson, and they're going to be pulling hard to get him out there. But what they've got to do is at some point they've got to pull the trigger, and hopefully it's at the point when he's ready. Well, then he's going to play this year. He's going to start this year. But when he does, I think is important, and it's not about Russell Wilson being better. It's about getting him better so they don't ruin him, because they think, and I do too, he could be their quarterback of the future. If they screw it up, he's going to have a future somewhere else, and that's going to be a bigger problem, and they're back quarterback shopping again.
Well, you make so many good examples, and maybe not the greatest analogy, because Green Bay had, Brett Favre, Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Hall of Famer, but, Rodgers had to wait, and then Jordan Love's had to wait, and Jordan Love looks darn good. And I just wonder, that experience and dealing with that, and it just seems invaluable. Now we're talking about, Green Bay, and there's many other examples, as you know, Chris, of guys that wait a year or two, and then when they come in, they're ready to play, and they're very successful.
Absolutely. I had one in Steve McNair that was not a great player, but he was a good one.
Yeah.
And we won with him, and we would not have done, if you put him in the game, and he would have been lost. We sat him for a while. We knew that he was going to eventually, replace Chris Chandler and Dave Craig, who came in after, but we needed to get him ready, and we got him as ready as we could. And you just mentioned Green Bay. There you go. Those quarterbacks were outstanding, but those also were developed too. Those guys were on teams that were pretty good, and they sat and they did learn. And when the opportunity was there, to me, that's how you do it. That's why they've been successful in Green Bay. It's not just because they've drafted well, but they've developed them well. I think that's the biggest problem we have with those quarterbacks is improper development leads to big-time issues.
Final thing for you. This is a heck of a matchup tonight. Short week, Washington, Green Bay. Both teams feel they could be playing in February. Both teams got off to a good start, particularly Green Bay. Your thoughts on this matchup tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited about it as well. I think Green Bay's better. And here's what I'm wanting to see. It's the big one. I mean, the second week is important. It's big, of course. I think we get a little bit ahead of our skis with it, the statement win and here, there. But you think about Washington. Last year, they were under the radar a little bit. I think people thought they might be good. I thought the quarterback would be good and make a difference. I didn't think he'd make that much of a difference. They played in a fairly, relatively speaking, no such thing as a weak NFL schedule, but softer. Now they got a tougher schedule. They're not going to sneak up on anybody. I'm curious to see how they respond in a game like this and others the rest of the way, how they're able to deal with it. I think Green Bay is overall a little bit more talented, but that doesn't always, play out in terms of the result. I'm very curious, particularly from Washington's standpoint. I know Green Bay is going to be a factor, not only their division, but near the top of the NFC. Maybe if Washington, with this game and others like that, I think we start to see if they could be a factor, maybe as much as some people think in the top of the NFC, maybe even challenging the likes of Philadelphia.
Great stuff, Chris. Enjoy the game. Look forward to chatting with you next Thursday. Thanks very much.
Hey, thank you so much. Have a great week.
All right, you too. That's Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com. And again, each and every Thursday right here on the Grant Napear Show. Hey, I want to talk to you about Village Financial Group. I have known broker owner Spencer Grimmenstein for 25 years since he opened his business, which is family owned. And he was very excited last week when the rates took a dip, and you can take advantage of that, whether it's a home equity line of credit, whether you're buying a home, selling a home. Spencer is a very creative financing specialist, and he has access to private money. go on their website, Village Financial Group. It's vfgloans.com. That's V as in Victor, fgloans.com. And be sure and ask, all right, about their investors special, all right? Because you're going to love what you hear. Give them a call, 916-805-4868. It makes sense to call Spence. Again, that's 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest.
Fox Sports traffic. Officials have wrapped up a couple of earlier accidents. One was on I-80 eastbound right as you approach Truxell Avenue, so that's been long gone. Also, the 99 southbound right at Mack Road, that earlier accident too has been cleaned up, but you're dealing with some heavy rush hour delays. Cap City Freeway, Marconi down to Exposition, about a 25-minute drive time. Same thing with the other side of the Cap City Freeway, so definitely give yourself that extra time. With twice-an-hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic brought to you by Gabroods Electrical. Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, and always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues with Gabroods. GUBRUDS.com.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup.
Come play for me and I'll give you, X $1 million, 7, 8, 9 million. I mean, we can go on and on. I'm just not a fan of that. It's basically professional sports on the college level. And here's the biggest problem I have. And again, call me old fashioned. The vast majority of players that play collegiate sports never go on and play professional sports. And I'm okay for them to make money in college to a degree. All right. But I've always been raised that, you go to college and universities to get an education. And the point I'm trying to make is if only a small percentage of our collegiate athletes go on to play professionally, wouldn't it be nice to have a degree? And again, I'm just stating what I look at as college and universities. again, I'm okay with them making money, but I am not okay with the transfer portal. And I'm not really a fan of giving an 18 and a 19-year-old kid $10 million. I'm just not. But, again, that's just me. That's my thoughts on it. All right, again, if you want to call the show, let me pass out the number, 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. If you want to share a story about 9/11, we can do that. I opened up the show. It was great to have FP Santangelo, who played at Yankee Stadium right after 9/11 as a member of the A's, call in during the first hour. Jerry Reynolds coming on next hour. But if you have anything that you want to add as it relates to 9/11, I am happy to address that. I'll never forget the sports world in September when everything was put on hold. Certainly that was not what was important during that period of time. But eventually sports did get back onto the field, and it was quite a boost for, I think, the morale of a lot of people, particularly, I know for sure, in New York. I mean, when George Bush walked out on the mound for Game 1 of the World Series in front of 50,000 plus in Yankee Stadium and threw a perfect pitch, all right? I mean, that was quite a scene. And it was a period of time that if you were old enough to remember, I've never experienced anything quite like that. It's a shame that it takes such a tragic event to bring the country together. And I'm not going to get political here, but then I'm looking at us now in 2025, and you're like, what the hell is going on? It's just, it's unbelievable. But anyway, I'd love to take your phone call, and let's get to some phone calls right now on Fox Sports Sacramento. And we say hello to Eric in Rockland. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Mr. Grant. How you doing
Eric,
today?
what's going on? Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just had 3 of the complimentary hot dogs. Feeling good. Thank you for that, Mr. Grant.
Yep, you're welcome. Good to have you out here.
Yeah, I want to talk about 2 things. One real quick, not promoting it because I'm not working with them, but the Silverado PGA tournament this week, if anyone's wondering. You guys,
yes.
Have you seen what the USA team's doing? Captain Keegan Bradley is making all of his players go to Napa this week. It started today. Every single member of the team outside of Bryson, they're going to see Scotty Scheffler, the #1 golfer in the entire world.
I love it.
Is in Napa right now. He's never been there. Justin Thomas is out there. Morikawa, all the biggest names on the USA team. So anyone that's a golf, that's amazing. They've had a tournament there for like 20 years, but never have they had this kind of star power before. So if anyone's interested this weekend, that I haven't decided if I'm going to go yet, but going to see Scotty Scheffler in person, that's going to be quite an experience, I believe.
I think it's great. I think it's great for golf. I agree with Keegan Bradley. I think that's the right move to make. They have not done that in the past. You don't want these players to get rusty, and you don't want them to lose their edge. So I'm all for it. And when you think about
we see that in every sport, Grant. We see that where teams before the playoffs, they have that comfortable lead going to the playoffs, and then they get rusty because they rest all their players. So props to Captain Keegan for making that move to get everyone there. But I want to see what your thoughts were too. I'm not a huge Niners fan, but they're obviously big here in the NorCal. And we see, I guess Brock Purdy is going to be probably out, and we know Kittle's out for a month. And honestly, we know McCaffrey eventually is going to go on the whatever. But do you see this team having to do a rebuild soon? Are we getting to the point? I know Purdy's going to be the quarterback, but are they going to be in a 7 to 8 win kind of slump like the Kings are, where they're kind of middle of the road for the next few years?
Boy, I hope not. For the people in this area, that's a great question. I don't have a crystal ball any more than you do, but they still have some areas of the football team that look good for the future. But the NFL, man, from year to year can be turned upside down. I'm going to say that their window closed. Okay, over the last 4 to 5 years when they've been knocking on the door every year. I don't think they're that good anymore. When I mean not that good, I mean I'm talking about to that level. Right now, I don't think they would beat
11,
Philadelphia.
12 wins.
They got lucky to beat Detroit 2 years ago in the playoffs. I thought that Dan Campbell had some horrible 4th down calls that changed the momentum of the game. So I'm thinking their window's probably closed. What do you think?
I think this year's done, Grant. I think too many injuries. I said I'm a McCaffrey fan, but there's no way McCaffrey is going to hold up with with his injury history. So this could be the last hurrah for the Niners.
All right, let me ask you a question. Real quick, real quickly. Who's got the better team, Europe or the Americans at the Ryder Cup? When you look at it side by side, who's got the better team?
I got to go Europe, Grant. They in Rome 2 years ago in Rome, they came together as a team. And little known fact, Europe's bringing all 12 players back. All 12. That's a trick question. They're bringing the other Højgaard twin. They have they're twin brothers. They have basically identical team they had in Rome 2 years ago when they just destroyed the United States. I'm betting on Europe, Grant. That's my pick.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. That is going to be
Grant.
some crowd out. Thank you. That's going to be some crazy vocal crowd on the day one of the Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black on Long Island. That New York crowd, oh boy. Listen, I don't think that rattles the Europeans, but that is an advantage. I mean, that is for sure. And if the United States should get off to a good start and gain some momentum, then that is going to be very difficult, I think, for Team Europe. But I can't wait to watch. I love the Ryder Cup. And at Bethpage Black, what a setting that's going to be. What a golf course. That is some golf course out there at Bethpage Black. I grew up about 5 miles from there. That whole Bethpage State Park, they got, 5 courses? But that Black course, oh, boy. Woof. Yeah, that's going to be something else in 2 weeks. But I agree with Keegan Bradley. I think it's great that they are making the guys play this weekend in Napa, and it's great for the golf fans here in Northern California. It's outstanding. Outstanding. All right, again, if you want to call the show, please do so. 916-779-0929. I have a very special guest joining me tomorrow, and his name is Doug Adler. And Doug was a victim of cancel culture about 8 years ago at the Australian Open. And he's going to be joining us tomorrow to talk about a story. Again, it is a phenomenal story. It's really, of all the things that I've witnessed over the last 5 years after I was canceled, I just can't believe what happened to Doug Adler. And his story is unbelievable. I had him on my podcast a couple of years ago, and the conversation was riveting. It was absolutely incredible how he lost his job for a innocent comment made while he was commentating a match with Venus Williams at the Australian Open. So again, he's going to be coming on tomorrow. Looking forward to that, and maybe another guest or two, but we're going to be talking a lot of football tomorrow. We're going to be talking a lot about tonight's game, but you're going to love, I think, the conversation that I'm going to have. That's going to be tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So very much looking forward to that. Doug Adler is my guest. I'm going to be talking a lot of football here, and then the training camp for the Sacramento Kings is going to be opening up before you know it, and we'll be covering that from top to bottom every day. Very much looking forward to that, and we'll see whether or not that season, all right, can be a success or not. Let's get to Ryan in Roseville. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, Grant. How are you doing?
Good, Ryan. What's going on? What can I do for you?
Hey, Grant, I wanted to just get your opinion or your thoughts on this upcoming series. I think it starts tomorrow, where the baseball Giants are taking on the Dodgers. The Giants started out so bad. They're making a little bit of a comeback here, and this could be an interesting series.
It's going to be a great series. They play 7 times here before the season ends, 3 this weekend, and then they got 4 down at Chavez Ravine. Right now, the Giants are playing better than the Dodgers. Now, if you're going to be objective about this, the Dodgers have a better team. I mean, you just look at their lineup. They have a better team, but they have not exactly, been playing great. In their last 10 games, they're only 5-5. And, the Giants, after that horrendous stretch of 4 to 5 weeks of putrid baseball, have really turned things around. Lost yesterday, but they've won 7 of 10. They're 2 games back of the Mets entering play tonight for that wild card spot. This is going to be a heck of a series. Do I think they can win this series? Yeah, with the way they've been playing, absolutely. They're 2 games over 500, which is not great on the surface, but they're 2 games back of the Mets. The Mets came in tonight, I think, 6 games over 500, but the Giants 2 back in a loss column. This is going to be one heck of a series. And here's the other part, all right, that you have to talk about. This is not only a really big game and a big series for the Giants. This is a huge series for the Dodgers. They're only 3 up in the division over San Diego, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think it's going to take for the Giants over, I forget, 7 or 8 games left in the season? I mean, what is their record going to have to be, in your opinion, for them to even have a chance to get into that wild card spot?
They're going to probably, the fact that they're 2 back, okay, when you look at the standings, I think they're going to have to play 700 ball the rest of the way. Without being able to forecast the Mets, and again, we talk about how many games they've played and how many games they have left. Let me go over the numbers again. The Mets are 76-70. All right. The Giants are 74-72. So they have played the same number of games, 2 games back. Not a lot of games left, but there are games left. But, again, you're playing the Dodgers 7 times. Those are, you talk about gigantic games. And it's not like the Mets have a cupcake schedule, but you're going to have to play at least, you're going to have to win it. You're going to have to play at least 600 ball and to get in the wild card, maybe 700 ball.
Yeah, I agree. Your previous caller mentioned the golf tournament for NorCal. We got a great Giant series, the golf tournament, football. It's going to be a good weekend of sports, college football as well.
Yep. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate
Take
the
it
phone
easy,
call.
Grant.
All right, take care. We get to New York and Pat. Oh, Pat is gone. No problem. All right, tell you what we'll do. We'll take a time out. We'll come back, 916-779-0929. This is the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here is the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, from breakout rookies to elite quarterbacks, and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now. Use code KSAC. That's code KSAC. Just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded is non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouth-watering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
Hey, come on in.
Hi, Jack. In our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs? No subs?
Yeah, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets, countertops, plumbing, drywall, electric, and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
Well, you mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Business owners, Grant Napier's back, bringing Fox Sports Radio to the forefront of sports talk in Sacramento. That means more listeners, more potential customers who could be spending money for your products and services. This is Kurt Bagelman, General Manager for Fox Sports Radio in Sacramento. Grant's back, and his return is an opportunity for your business. Listen, the sports talk audience is a target-rich group of consumers. 80% are employed, nearly 60% earn six-figure incomes, 67% own their homes. Take advantage of the attention Grant's return has generated to tell people where to spend their money. This is a unique opportunity to increase your sales right now. It costs nothing to learn how a good strategy and a great commercial message heard by sports fans could help your business. So call me, 916-779.
My son was my oldest son Liam was born in June of 2001, and before my son was born, I said, you know what? Let me take a trip into Manhattan because just to do things before my son was born because I knew I'd have a lot of responsibilities at the time. And I went to Midtown Manhattan that day, and eventually decided to go to the Staten Island Ferry. So I had to make my way down to Lower Manhattan, and I passed by the towers and had to go through the maze of streets, and eventually I made it to the Staten Island Ferry. And I remember being on the ferry, and I remember the tourists were taking pictures with World Trade Center in the background. And I'm like a New Yorker. I'm taking for granted. Oh, they're taking pictures in front of the Twin Towers, and then it's like what Ryan said earlier. It's just amazing. All of a sudden, 3 months later, a whole piece of Manhattan is gone, and it just had
if you live in
profound
New York,
effect on
and
me.
I don't want to speak for you, but I believe this to be the case. I bet every time you go into Manhattan and you look at Lower Manhattan, that's the first thing you think of, that the towers aren't there. Yeah, the Freedom Tower's there, but it's not the Manhattan that we were.
Yeah, it's not
used
the
to.
same. It's not the same.
No.
Yeah, and one other thing I just want to bring up quick. I regularly donate blood, and normally you had to get people to donate blood. Well, I'll never forget September 12th, the day after, you had like a line like twice around the block.
Yeah.
And they just want to help the victims, and there was really nothing we could have done because they really didn't need blood, unfortunately, and it was very sad. It was a very sad time, but like you said, thank God sports was around, and that carried us through.
Well said, Patrick. Thanks for chiming in. You have a good night. I appreciate it. Take care. All right. Bye-bye. Ryan, I want to ask you, 24 hours ago, I asked you if you had done your picks as we get ready for Thursday Night Football. We've got, I think, a heck of a game. Who did you end up taking tonight, buddy?
Go, Pack, go, Napes. I just feel like the momentum coming off of that win against the Lions. You've had national TV there 2 weeks in a row. Micah Parsons energizing the youngest team in the NFL. I think it's going to be the Packers night.
All right, and I can't wait to do Grant's rant at the top of the hour. You think it's high scoring, or do you think it's low scoring, or you think it's kind of in the middle?
I think it's in the middle. I do. I don't think, Washington last week, 21 points, Green Bay 27. I'm thinking maybe a 21-17 game.
Yeah, generally speaking, the Thursday night games, the offense is not as good because the game plan is so condensed. And again, the game plan for this probably went in during the training camp, looking ahead. But my point is, it's normally slows down a little bit on Thursday Night Football. But you got two really good backs here in Daniels and Love. I thought Jordan Love was outstanding last week.
Yeah, I agree. And he wasn't doing anything complicated either, Grant. He was making his reads, dumping it off when he needed to. How do you think early in the season Thursday night football games affect the players? Is it a little bit better?
I think, and again, I've never really done research on this, but I would think if you are a player, you'd want to get that Thursday night game out of the way early. I would hate to have to play Thursday night late in the season. I just think that is so taxing on your body. Most of the guys are relatively fresh right now, having played only one game. To me personally, if I got to play on Thursday night, which you do, I'd rather play it early in the season.
Yeah, I'm with you there totally. Which way are you going tonight?
I picked Green Bay, and I picked Green Bay because they were home. And if Washington had been at home, I would have picked Washington. I just think the road team on Thursday night football is at a real disadvantage because, you play on Sunday and then you travel on Wednesday. So, you limp into the locker room on Monday, you get your treatment, right? You practice, you change the whole routine. You practice Tuesday, and you get on the plane and fly out Wednesday, and you have a game Thursday. It's really tough for the road team.
Yeah, it is, especially if it's a longer travel. Luckily, this one isn't as bad. What do you think the storyline's going to be coming out of this game?
Well, I think it's going to be Jordan Love because Jordan Love last year got hurt in Brazil, and it took him a while to get going. And I don't think his season was as good as it was the year before when he had that tremendous game in the playoffs at Dallas in the play, against the Cowboys, and they're played so well. I think that Jordan Love is still a quarterback that, for whatever reason, I don't know if the football fans and members of the media around the country have still completely bought into him. Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL for a long time to come. But as far as Love goes, I still hear like a debate on this. Oh, he's good, or he's not that good, or he's that. I personally think he's very, very good. But I think that's going to be a storyline tomorrow.
Yeah, Grant, there hasn't been one defined long stretch. Before he got his contract, he played well at the end of that year. He was dinged up last year. He needs that stretch. And I think that will settle out some of the minds of those watching the NFL.
All right, so I'm with you. I'm with you on the Green Bay winning tonight, and I think it's going to be a fairly close game, too. I'd be surprised if this game is more than a 6-point margin when it's all over.
I'm with you there. Do you think Micah Parsons gets more than 29 snaps tonight?
Yes. Now, it's a short week, right? So, but based on what I'm reading, and this game Thursday against Daniels, who is so effective with his arm and the feet, I'm going to say yes. What do you say?
I think he does as well. And I think that could also be a little bit of Achilles heel if you're not paying attention to Daniels, because these Packers defensive linemen want to get upfield, and Washington could easily set up the screen games. In regards to Parsons, he didn't take a shot last week. So I think we're going to see him ramp up, because he didn't play a ton in the preseason. He didn't play at all.
He didn't play at all. Nope, he didn't take a snap. But, a lot of guys don't play in the preseason, but you're right. He did not. And that's it's going to be interesting to see whether, as we progress on early in the season, if he's going to come close to playing a full game. I just think you have to have him on the field. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's, personally, my opinion, I think he's the most impactful player in the National Football League on defense. I don't think there's anybody that makes a bigger impact defensively than him. And there are guys in his category, but you must double team him on every single play. And if you don't, he's going to make you pay.
Grant, look at the Baltimore and Bills game last week. It was one defensive play that made the difference. Micah Parsons is always one play away from turning the game around.
Yep. Very well said. Very well said. All right, buddy. Appreciate your thoughts on this matchup.
Of course.
Don't forget, Jerry Reynolds is going to be coming by to Bennett's West Side Grill, and we'll talk with Jerry. And if you are just getting off work or whatever, come on down and watch the game with us here on the patio. We've got 2 TVs, so You're not going to miss anything. We've got the hot dog bar, complimentary hot dogs with the potato chips. We've already had a pretty good gathering here for the first hour, and then they took off. So we're ready, man. Come on down and see us. I'm going to be on the radio until 6, and then I can hang out and watch the game with you at Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland. Highway 65 and Blue Oaks Boulevard will get you here. And the game is going to start here in about 30 minutes. So come on down and watch the game with us on the TVs here at Bennett's Westside Grill. Back in studio tomorrow, Doug Adler and his amazing story at 4 o'clock. Rhino will have the winner of the $100 gift card to Bennett's for the 4 picks last week. And we'll do it again tomorrow. And then I've got some tremendous guests that I'm pursuing for next week. What a week it's been so far. Charles Barkley, Tim Brown leading the way, and Mike Lamb yesterday was a lot of fun. Of course, we got Sean Salisbury and Chris Landry on Tuesdays and Thursdays, respectively, talking college and the NFL. Tomorrow, again, I think you're going to love Doug Adler. If you don't know anything about Doug, just wait till you hear his story. Like, it's so sad, and it's so unbelievable what happened to him, and we'll talk about that tomorrow at 4 o'clock. If you want to get in on the program, you can do so. Give me a call at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Appreciate those of you who are sharing your 9/11 experiences on this tragic day. Back in 2001, I opened up the show talking about 9/11. If you missed FP Santangelo on in the first hour, talking about playing at Yankee Stadium in the playoffs right after 9/11, then you will definitely want to go back and stay right here at 6 o'clock, because we replay the first hour of the show at 6 o'clock. So tonight at 6 o'clock, you can listen to my opening comments and then FP calling in to talk about that experience and what that was like being in New York right after 9/11, and of course, the A's and the Yankees series. Jerry Reynolds has walked into the house. That's standing ovation for Jerry as he walked in, and then he'll be joining here. See? You thought I was making that up? That's exactly right. I walked in and everybody booed. Jerry walks in, everybody goes crazy. Yeah, absolutely. So Jerry will be coming on here in just a little bit on Fox Sports Sacramento. Seriously, come on down. You've got the complimentary hot dog bar, the house-made chips, and if you want to order off the menu, you can certainly do that as well. Dorian is here. BJ's here. We got everybody here. I love it. Thank you for your support. Love it. Good stuff right there. All right. Don't forget, Jerry Reynolds here in just a couple of moments as we wind down this second hour. And I want to give you some more things that I look at here in this game tonight. It takes, I think, 3 to 4 weeks to really get a good read on a team. But I had Washington winning the division, and I had Green Bay winning the division in the NFC North. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen after 1 week of play. But when I watched Washington last week and I watched I watched Green Bay beat Detroit, the one thing that to me is very apparent is that these are 2 good teams. I'm not ready to say they're great teams yet, but they're good teams. And I based that on what I saw last year. I based that on the personnel this year. To me, Green Bay got better. If you had a Micah Parsons, you got better. All right? You just cannot add a player of that caliber and not get better. Okay? You're going to get better. So that defense now is better than it was. And I look at the offense, good line, good receivers, good running game, and I think a very good quarterback in Love. Detroit with a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. They did not look good at Green Bay last week. They didn't look anything like the team that I saw last year. So I don't know if Detroit really has slipped a couple of notches, and therefore I don't get a really good read on the Green Bay Packers. But I think they're very good. I think they're one of the top teams in the NFC. I think Washington is one of the top teams in the NFC. But again, they played the Giants in their prevent offense last week, so I don't get a really good read. We're going to get a very good read tonight as they take on Green Bay. Short week. I'm not crazy about that from the Washington perspective. I think playing on the road on a short week is a really tough chore. Everyone's got to do it pretty much year in, year out. I mean, it's part of the deal. But I'm not crazy about that. I would much rather have seen this game on a Sunday or a Monday night, because I think these are two of the top teams in football. I think these are two of the top teams in the NFC. So, again, come on down and see us at Bennett's Westside Grill. Jerry Reynolds will be on with me here starting in just a couple of moments. I got Grant's Rant that I'll be doing before we have Jerry on. We take your phone calls, as always, right here at 916-779-0929. For those of you that came down and had to leave and are listening right now, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your support coming down here to Bennett's. For those of you that are just getting off work, getting out of school, whatever the case may be, come on down and see us at Bennett's Westside Grill as we watch Thursday night football together. All right? So we've got all of that. And Jerry Reynolds, if you want to ask Jerry a question, now is a good time to get on deck. Again, 916-779-0929. Grant's Rant next, right here from Bennett's on Fox Sports Sacramento.
You're going to find officials on the scene of a couple of earlier problems around town. Let's start off with Watt Avenue at Florin Road. Got a traffic hazard slowing things down through there. Highway 99 at Dillard Road on-ramp also got a hazard slowing things down. And normal rush hour delays, especially on the Cap City Freeway in between Marconi Avenue and Exposition Boulevard. You are dealing with about a 30-minute drive time through that area. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabrud's for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabrud's, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
So many things, big and little, make you uniquely you. Your hobbies, dreams, careers, family, and more. Addiction to drugs, including opioids and stimulants, can strip these away from you. Recover your life. Choose treatment for drug addiction and get back to what matters most. Find a provider and proven treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at choosechangeca.org.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. After a viral incident in which Lamar Jackson pushed a fan who reached out and touched both DeAndre Hopkins and the quarterback, the Ravens star issued an apology. It's the right move. Calm the storm, take the high road, but let's be clear. Jackson isn't the one who should be apologizing. The fans are. You pay for a ticket to watch the game. That doesn't give you the right to hurl vulgar comments or worse, put your hands on players. There's no place for that in any league. These athletes are professionals doing their jobs, and they deserve a baseline of respect while doing it. Social media has emboldened this behavior, giving people a platform to say whatever they want without consequences. So yes, Lamar Jackson apologized, but he shouldn't have to. The ones crossing the line should be the ones saying, "We're sorry. Enough's enough." I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.
Whoa! Jason Kelsey just found out that NFL Sunday Ticket now lets you subscribe month to month. Yeah! He just realized you can join and cancel anytime.
Ha-ha! Now that's what I'm talking about.
Now he just found $1 in the sofa.
Yeah!
And he just saw a great parking spot open up. Look, just because Jason's easily excited doesn't make NFL Sunday Ticket month to month any less great. Right, Jason?
Yeah.
Get NFL Sunday Ticket month to month and cancel anytime. Sign up at NFLSundayTicket.com. Renews every month during the 2025 regular season. Cancel anytime. Terms and embargoes apply. No refunds. Commercial use excluded.
New car prices going up? You're not imagining it. That shiny new ride just got even more expensive, making it tougher than ever to justify trading in. But here's the good news. Maaco can make your current car look and feel new again for a fraction of the cost. From fresh paint to light bodywork, we help you get more out of what you already own and love. Book your free estimate online or visit your nearest Maaco today. Free estimates, friendly service, fast turnaround. Better get Maaco.
Sacramento, we've got our guy.
Grant Napear.
Grant Napier's back, beginning weekdays at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM, Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
Hour number 3 from Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland. Get ready for Thursday Night Football. Come on down and see us in a moment. Jerry will be with us, but it's time now for Grant's Rant. Rhino, what do you have for me tonight?
Well, Grant, I have 3 different rant ideas all queued up. Coming off of a very emotional day yesterday, a Carolina Panthers PR employee posted some very insensitive comments about the events of yesterday, including an inappropriate song that went along with that, and they have subsequently been fired. So that is your first option. Your second option seems like gambling has been a theme this entire week. The NCAA has now hit 13 players from 6 schools involved in another gambling scheme. So you've got that to choose from. And your third and final one, because you've been talking about this New York Prime. If you're going to do the New York Prime, you got to do it right. Medium or below, Grant. You can't do a steak well done.
All right, it is now time, as I pick one of those 3 for Grant's Rant.
It's time for Grant's Rant.
All right, so I'm going to choose the first one, but I do my steak medium, not more than medium. I can do medium rare. I don't like rare. Medium is fine. I'm not going to get off on a tangent here because I told you in day one that this is a sports show and it's not a show about politics and everything else. But I did say that if there was a situation that intersected with sports, that I would talk about it. This individual that lost their job with professional sports, with, I think you said it was the Charlotte team, right? The NFL team. Is that correct, Rhino?
Correct. Charlotte Panthers.
Okay. All right. So the Panthers, okay? The Carolina Panthers. I don't care who you are. I don't care about anything when it pertains to your political beliefs. I made that very clear on day one. I do not care. If you are taking satisfaction in the death of an innocent person, then you're a sick individual. All right? And so I, in this case, don't have any problem with that person losing their job with the Carolina Panthers. And I don't have any problem with others that are losing their jobs, such as at MSNBC last night. That is despicable, and there's no excuse. And if this country is ever going to turn the corner, we all together have to say that is not going to be tolerated. So I'm going to end my rant on that. And Jerry, I'm sorry to go from that to you because I'm so happy that you're here. It's always great to see you. Thank you.
Well, I'm happy to be here too, and man, just great to see a lot of the fans again. You know,
Yeah.
and obviously, it's always a blast for me to get out and spend time with you and talk sports. You know,
Yeah.
Nothing be better.
No, we love it. If you want to give us a call, and you can ask Jerry a question at 916-779-0929. If you don't mind, I opened up the show talking about my 9/11 memories and growing up from New York and watching the towers being built. Take me back to where you were on 9/11/2001.
I was, at home in Roseville and watching TV that morning, and just when all it happened. I mean, you can remember it, vividly. It's one of those
Right.
things that, and just getting more and more frustrated, angry, and disgusted, and it's just it's hopefully once in a lifetime event that we'll never see again, because that was one of the worst things I had to witness in my lifetime.
We went to New York twice a year with the Kings to play the Knicks and the Nets. Did you go to Ground Zero at any point that you remember during that first visit to either MSG or the Meadowlands to play the Nets after 9/11?
Yeah, well, I went down there after it's the completion of the new
memorial and
the
everything,
memorial
and the
and all
fountains
that.
and all
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
because we stayed, as you know, down on very close there, just several blocks away. And of course, as one of my walks, I would go down there and spend time. So I did that a couple of times.
All right, Jerry Reynolds joining us. Again, if you want to give us a shout, you can do so. We're getting ready for Thursday Night Football. Again, if you're just getting off work, out of school, whatever the case may be, come on down and see us. There are complimentary hot dogs and chips as Bennett's has set up the hot dog bar. You love a good hot dog, don't you?
Well, there's no such thing as a bad hot dog.
Jerry-
Especially a free hot dog.
Yeah, right. A free hot dog that's very good is perfect. Now,
Yeah.
they've got chips. I know you're disappointed because you love popcorn. You're a big popcorn guy.
Well, yeah, I am, but I like chips. I like everything that you shouldn't like if you're a diabetic. Let's put it that way. That's part of I think God's plan. Just wants to.
That's a everyday deal,
test
isn't
you.
it? Everyday deal, isn't it? Being a diabetic.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, you really have to watch it. And
Yeah.
I do pretty good. I wander once in a while.
Mhm. Let's wander into basketball for a couple of moments, and I'm just curious. You, in your experience, when you were a coach and front office, not as a broadcaster, because the responsibilities are completely different. What was it like gearing up for the start of training camp?
Well, it's always really exciting. I mean, because you really so many things come into a head, because you're always just about always still looking for players to make this the not just the roster, but the camp roster, which because you'd always have 22 players.
And you're tied for first place at that point at 0-0.
And everybody's 0-0. Everybody's, everybody's optimistic, and many times for no reason.
Right.
But you have to believe that a lot of things are going to click. Fully well knowing that some of them aren't going to, and I mean in some cases where you really know that you just don't have what it's going to take, that sort of thing. But I think in general, you always say, well, yeah, if this young guy really clicks and we stay healthy and blah, and make a good trade later, all those kind of things. And sometimes none of it happens.
Was it more challenging to get ready for training camp as a coach or as a general manager?
I think it's probably tougher as a coach because, with a coach, as you know, you're graded on wins and losses or every game, where I always say front office, they should be, in fact, looking at the franchise from a longer period of time, saying, in other words, it's not about tomorrow's game, it's about next year. Everything you have to look at it long term, but as a coach, you can't do it that way. It's the next game.
The owner back then was Greg Lukenbill. What was it like? Is he somebody that wanted answers every day? Did he meddle? Did he stay away? What was that relationship like? Take me back to that period of time.
No, he was very easy to work for and with. I mean, not to say probably the first year or so, he probably got involved a few times where he shouldn't have. But after that, I mean, I think his focus was always on building a new arena, doing different things. Greg, I mean, he was He's always going 100 miles an hour.
I love the man.
I mean,
Love
yeah, I was
Greg.
going to say just a real marvel. I mean, I've always said he's going 100 mile an hour, sometimes around in circles, but he was going fast.
Yeah. Boy, the vision that he had to bring that basketball team where you were at Kansas City to Sacramento, it's unbelievable. And boy, was he a go-getter. I'll never forget standing at Arco Arena with tractors and dirt being piled up, and they had the shell of the building but no roof. And I remember Luke taking me on a tour of Arco. We had the hard hat on, and he was just, I mean, that guy, I've never seen him where he wasn't full of energy.
No. Of course, I remember coming with the team in July of the first year. The draft had always happened and everything, but I joined the team for the summer league, and our offices were in the little cookie cutters next to the original Arco.
Mm-hmm.
And I always remember too that the place, they had a boxing match. I think I'm trying to remember the famous boxer from Yuba City area. They had a fight in there like about a week before the season started, as kind of a kind of getting things together, and it was just barely in time. I think they just barely got all the seats and everything and parking lot completed by the time we started the season.
Again, Jerry Reynolds joining us here at Bennett's Westside Grill, and we've got some folks coming in and more to follow. So come on down and see us here as we get ready for the Green Bay Packers hosting the Washington Commanders kickoff here in about 10 minutes. We've got the hot dog bar. We've got the homemade chips complimentary, so you can come on down and get a bite, watch the game with us. And Jerry and yours truly will be done at 6 o'clock, and we'll be able to mingle with you and hang out for a little while. So come on down and see us. It's easy to get to. Westside Grill in Rockland, Highway 65 and Blue Oaks Boulevard. We got Brian Bennett here, and you can come up and give him a hard time. We love giving Brian a hard time.
Oh, yeah. Such a good guy, though, but he needs to have a hard time.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
The fact he's a good guy, he don't get a pass.
Absolutely. All right, so right now, if the Kings were not to make a trade before the start of the season, how are you going to put all of these guards on the floor? Like, I'm looking at Dennis Schroeder and Zach LaVine. Let's just say they're the starting backcourt. You would agree, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you have Keon Ellis, and you have Malik Monk, and you have Nick Clifford, who you drafted. And I didn't even mention the name of Devin Carter.
Devin Carter. And I know, and it's they got too many guards. I mean, let's face it, they've got too many guards and not enough wings and power players. So just too small. And the only thing, I was asked this, I think on the King's Herald podcast I do, what could you do? And I'd say the only thing I can think of, if they don't make a move, is to try to be the Indiana Pacers. Play. You can play a lot of guards if you press all the time and run all the time, because the only advantage a bigger player has is around the basket. Middle of the floor, they don't. But, the Pacers always played at least 3 guards all the time.
Well, but the key there is not taking the ball out of the basket every time.
Well, absolutely. I'm not saying that they can do what the Pacers, because they're not as talented.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying from a standpoint of what can you do when you got 6 guards you got to play. Well, you better have a style that fits 3. You better get 3 on the floor all the time. And the only way you can do that is to get the game off the boards and make it, basically a 94-foot game.
Yeah. So with that said, and again, they haven't had a practice yet. We haven't seen anything. This roster is not constructed the way I think a lot of fans would like to. And listen, I give Scott Perry 3 years, like I give Monty McNair, like I give Vlade. I think you know this. I mean, You were in the front office. I've always said I like to give an individual 3 years to see what they can do. You think that's a fair amount of time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, they always say, and I've said this too, people talk about a 5-year plan. If you got a 5-year plan, you have no plan.
Right.
You can, whether it's in college or the pros, within 3 years, you should be able to make an impact, given the circumstances, because there's only so many ways to get talent, and that's via free agency, trade, or draft.
I know you're a big football fan, the Chiefs, but who do you like tonight? Green Bay hosting Washington.
I like Green Bay. I
Yep.
think they might very well be the best team. I mean, I think they're a serious contender. My Chiefs probably are. I think they'll likely be like 11-6 team. I think. But having said that, I think if they get in the playoffs, they're a threat.
Yep. Are you a little concerned for my health with how bad the Giants looked last week and the fact that they didn't score a touchdown? Are you concerned for me?
Well, really, no, because you should be used to it by now. if you haven't had serious physical ailments yet, you probably never will.
Yeah, the last couple of years have been very rough, Jerry. It kind of takes me back to when you coached the Kings. It's kind of like that.
Very similar. Yeah, very, very difficult to maintain optimism.
Yeah, it's never a good feeling when you know your team is not very good before the season starts, and that even if you overachieve, you're still not very good.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's the toughest part. Saying, hey, we can win more games than we should, and then we're still not going to be very good.
Yeah, it's. I've always said, if you're a football fan, it's really, really bad to be totally depressed before Halloween. And if you're an NBA fan, it's really, really, really depressing to be out of it before you celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what that feeling's
oh,
like.
I do.
And I know what that feeling's like.
Yeah, and then I will say that's and it's so much fun. Conversely, where when you haven't been in the mix for a long time and you are in March and April, I mean, there's almost every game so exciting, and as you know, doing games and sometimes in February, it's a little hard to get excited.
Come on down to Bennett's Westside Grill. The game's going to be starting here in a couple of moments. We've got the complimentary hot dog bar and chips, and we're going to be watching the game. We'll be on the air until 6, and then we'll be able to mingle with you. So come on down. It is Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland, Highway 65 and Blue Oaks. Again, come on down and hang out with us for Thursday Night Football with a packed Lambeau Field. You ever been to Lambeau Field?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not.
All right.
That would really be a treat. I mean, obviously that's a title town and the whole bit. It's a small market. Of course, with football, it's always amazing to me. Size of the market has nothing to do with it because, they could put an NFL team in Reading and it'd sell out.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
It'd be profitable.
Well, you remember when Luke tried to get Al Davis and the Raiders to come here. I never thought that was ever going to happen. I had Greg Lukenbill on my podcast a couple of years ago, and he swears to me that it was very, very close to really being done. And I like you, really respect Greg Lukenbill a lot, but I just never saw the NFL working. I didn't just think it was going to ever happen. I thought it was such a far-fetched idea. I thought Al was using the Sacramento as leverage.
Well, I think kind of he did because they went to L.A. to.
That's right.
Yeah. So I think that's one thing about Al. Certainly, he was capable of that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, he did it to several cities.
Yeah. And that is a shame because I think that honestly the Raiders. I think it'd work. It'd work. Anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
NFL. I'll tell you right now, the Raiders in Sacramento would have been a hell of a lot more successful than the Raiders that we're seeing in Vegas in terms of the crowds. I mean, because if you turn on a Raiders game on Sundays in Vegas, it's like they don't have a home field advantage because they've been so bad for so long. But here in Sacramento, there's no doubt in my mind that place would have been packed with Raider fans every week.
Oh, absolutely. That'd been no problem. And, like you say, in Vegas, that's such a deal where
it's a tourist destination.
Yeah, where the other team basically brings a third to half the fans, and
they plan a trip around it every year. It's like, let's go to Vegas, have a good time, and our team is there. Let's go to the game and let's buy the tickets on the secondary market.
Yeah, I'm just not sure the A's are going to do well there either.
No,
personally,
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. All right, I'll tell you what. Before we take a break, I want to tell you about DAS Mechanical. If you need a maintenance check or an energy repair on a heating or cooling unit, DAS Mechanical would take care of all of your heating, cooling, ventilation, and energy needs. DAS Mechanical will provide you with a full consultation. So here's the deal. They're going to explain to you all of your available options to make sure that you can get the system that's right for your home or business. And how about up to $6,000 in rebates and federal tax credits on qualifying equipment? So take advantage of the $2,000 federal tax credit before it is set to go away at the end of the year. I had lunch with Nick last week. Loved talking to him, and it's easy for me to understand why DAS Mechanical is as good as they are, in business since 2018. If you go to their website, dasmechanical.org, all 5-star reviews, best of best awards, it's right there for you. So again, go to dasmechanical.org and you can book right online. All right, everything is right online. And again, look at their 5-star reviews and their best of best awards. And don't forget, special financing is available as well. That's dasmechanical.org. We're back right after this.
Fox Sports traffic, big problems on the eastbound side of I-80 at Marysville. We got 2 left lanes blocked off, and you got stop-and-go traffic pretty much backed up to about Northgate Boulevard. Give yourself that extra time to work your way through there. Cap City Freeway off-ramp to El Camino Avenue. Got an accident off to the shoulder there, and heavy delays on the Cap City Freeway main lanes itself, so give yourself about 30 extra minutes. With twice-an-hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
Decisions determine results. So which path do I want to take? Help people in need or stand on the sidelines watching? Worry about how to pay for school or have my education paid for? Push myself and learn new skills or stay the same? My decision is to serve part-time with the Army National Guard, and my results will be life-changing. What will you decide? Go to NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Sponsored by the California Army National Guard. Aired by the California Broadcasters.
Grant Napear with Jerry Reynolds, Fox Sports Sacramento. Come on down and see us at Bennett's West Side Grill. Take advantage of the complimentary hot dog bar with the chips. Thursday Night Football just underway with Green Bay hosting Washington. Been a good week. Charles Barkley was on with me to open up the week. A lot of fun. Had Mike Lamb, Tim. And Mike Lamb, you know, you were in the
I might be there with the Lamster. Yeah, you know.
greatest laugh in the world.
Yeah, he did have.
Yeah, so it's really good. Tomorrow I'm going to have Doug Adler on, who was canceled for the most absurd, ridiculous thing when he was working at ESPN, announcing the Australian Open in a match with Venus Williams. So it's hard to believe that he lost his entire career. And I'm going to get into that tomorrow with Doug Adler at 4:00. It's one of the biggest travesties that I've seen with an individual being canceled over nothing.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people did. I mean, I always remember the Oklahoma City Thunder play-by-play guy,
Brian Davis.
I
couldn't believe that.
Yeah, that's just so.
If Jerry, for the folks that don't know, Brian Davis was announcing for the Oklahoma City Thunder and was a huge fan of Russell Westbrook when Russell was there. Built Russell up, had some of the most exciting calls of any announcer in the NBA. And he was announcing a game with Russell Westbrook. And in a phenomenal dunk, when Russell was dominating the game, he said he was out of his cotton picking mind, which is a slang which has been used in our generation for a long time. And and Brian's contract was not renewed after that. And that was his last year. And nobody really came to his defense, and a guy's great career was ruined over that. And so, yeah, I'm with you. But Doug Adler, Wait till you hear his story tomorrow. His story, it's just unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah, well, this goes back, about 10 years ago when this just started. A lot of this stuff, the cancel culture for
saying all lives matter, every single one.
Well, or just about anything
I know. It's
that somebody didn't like, and so hopefully some of that, most of that's gone now.
I hope so. I really do. Boy, Packers, we'll see if this is going to come back or not on a long bomb. Yep, it's coming back. Come on down and see us. We got the folks coming in. I'm very happy to see that. Thursday Night Football with Green Bay hosting Washington. Take advantage of the hot dog bar, complimentary hot dogs. So go up and help yourself to hot dogs and chips. Yeah, see, there you go. You're like, is that free? Yeah, okay, let's do it. Yeah. Jerry, I'm surprised Jerry's not over there yet. Oh, you got the mustard, you got the spicy mustard, you got all kinds of stuff over there. It's perfect.
They got everything they need, that's for sure.
You might have to take a doggy bag home.
Well, yeah. be like Gary St. James, just take them all home.
Yeah. I was when I Saint would do that. When I had Charles Barkley on, I said to Charles, I said, isn't it amazing how famous you are in America, and yet most of the people remember you for your post-playing career than your career, because a lot of people weren't born yet. They don't remember it. Trying to defend Charles Barkley on the block was like impossible, was it not?
Oh, absolutely impossible. I mean, they created changed rules because of Charles, the 5-second rule, because he would just back guys down and nobody could stop him. So he'd take 10 seconds just to beat them up and get them to the basket. And so they changed the rule, because I always say that's a sign of a great player when they have changed rules for you.
Right.
They always change so many rules for Wilt Chamberlain. In fact, for a reason. And so, yeah, Charles was unguardable. And
what was the biggest rule change with Wilt Chamberlain?
Well, you couldn't throw. They used to throw the ball over the backboard for an out of bounds play.
Yep.
Well, and of course he'd stand there, and of course they throw it over the backboard. Well, he's the only one that could possibly catch it and dunk it, so you couldn't do that anymore. And then also there's a rule where he used to shoot free throws. He'd leave the line and jump toward the basket, and of course just lay it in.
That's unbelievable.
But then now you can't leave. Can't leave the free throw line without shooting the ball.
We always talk about greatest. It's very difficult to compare different eras, but in terms of best centers of all time, who's on your list?
Well, I mean, certainly Wilt and Bill Russell, and I think Elijah Wan, Shaq.
Do you have a number one, or is it too hard to come up with a number one?
It'd be awful. I mean, I think the most dominant player to ever play was Wilt.
The numbers say so.
The numbers say so. As you say, you can't compare eras, but I always go back to what Bill Russell told me when I was working for Bill and got to know him well. And he just said, you can only compete against who's in front of you. You can't compete against future people.
That's a great point.
So he said, I was great in my time, and that's all you can be.
Jerry, Kareem's sky hook or Elijah Wan's dream shake, what do you think was the more difficult shot to defend?
I think the sky hook. I mean, it was just automatic. It was one of those things that the clock could be running down, and the old. I always remember Pat Riley. They'd be trying to run plays, even if you did a nice job defensively. 3 seconds on the clock, and they hold up 5. That meant throwing it to Kareem.
Right.
And there's the sky hook. I mean, with Elijah Wan, at least it would take him more time to create, to set up the defender.
And back then you couldn't double the guy without the ball.
Yeah.
So I mean, trying to guard Kareem one-on-one, I mean, come on.
Yeah, right? that there again, all those rules really benefited the big players in those days.
Sure.
It's just a reverse now. It used to be if you didn't have great centers, a great center, you were not going to win.
No, you couldn't win. There's no way.
And now if you don't have great guards and wings, you can't win.
That era that I grew up on, where you had my favorite games to watch were Willis Reed against Wes Unseld. I just love that. But you had Dave Cowens, you had Bob Lanier, right? You had Elvin Hayes. You had all of these great players. Kareem coming into the league, after that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're right. If you didn't have a center that was that category, you could not win in the NBA. You just couldn't do it.
You just couldn't do it. I mean, because all the rules benefited the power players, you know, and so now with the 3-point shot and kind of maybe the game a little less physical in some ways, it really benefits the small guards or guards or what I call all court players, guys who are very comfortable in all parts of the court. And whereas when I first came to the league, you know, it basically is the guys that were great 5 or 10 foot away from the basket.
I don't know if you saw the new change in statistics, which would have benefited Mitch Richmond greatly. Mitch never wanted to shoot the ball at the buzzer at the end of a first, second, or third quarter from long range because he didn't want it to affect his field goal percentage. Now they're changing the rule. If the play begins in the backcourt and you take a shot within 3 seconds from beyond 36 feet, it does not count towards your field goal percentage.
I think that's a good rule. They make it a team team shot, and because it makes perfect sense in a sense, because there's a lot of guys, you know, like Mitch, are saying concerned about their shooting percentage, and so but it also means you're denying teams of a lot of or fans a lot of potential excitement of the 70-foot made shot.
I have said this for years and years. I believe that the same thing should apply to quarterbacks in the NFL on Hail Marys at the end of halves in games, which are most of the time intercepted. That to me should not count against the quarterback's touchdown to interception ratio, which so many fans and so many people go by. I don't think that should work against a quarterback's. I don't think that should go down as an interception and the quarterback. I think it should be a team interception.
No, that makes sense too. Because what else can they do?
Right. And I'm okay with the defensive player getting credit for the interception. I am, but I'm not okay with the quarterback. And here's something else. How often do we watch an NFL game where a quarterback makes a perfect pass and the ball bounces off the hands of a receiver or a shoulder pad? I would like to see it like in baseball, Jerry, where if you're pitching and you have a routine ground ball to short and they boot it and it's an error. And then run score, it's unearned. Why should a perfectly thrown ball count against the quarterback's touchdown to interception ratio? I've never understood that.
No, that's a good point there, because I mean, obviously some quarterbacks really they'll have to go through 3 or 4 easy just plain drops every game, and that really affects their efficiency, and they've done nothing wrong. Now of course, in some cases you have great receivers that make up for some bad throws too.
Yeah, no question. Hey, we are at Bennett's Westside Grill. It's the first quarter of Green Bay and Washington. Come on down and see us. Take advantage of the complimentary hot dog bar and chips. And I will be hanging out for quite a while afterwards. Jerry will be hanging out for a couple of minutes to say hello to everybody because, you know, Jerry's bedtime's coming up, so we can't keep him up too late.
No, you can't. No, when it gets dark, you know, I start to get a little groggy.
Yeah, especially when the clocks go back in March. That's really difficult for you. You know, when it's dark at 5 o'clock.
Everything's difficult for me anymore.
Absolutely. Wow, great special teams play on a punt. And Green Bay will start this possession at about their 2-yard line. 8 minutes left in the opening quarter of play, and there is no score. So if I picked Wilt as the greatest center of all time, you wouldn't have a problem with that, correct?
No, not at all. I mean, individually, because we're talking about individually. I always say anybody not just scored 100 points in a game, but he averaged 50 points in the season and 25 plus rebounds, and once got 50-some rebounds in the game. So when somebody, and he also at the end of his career led the league in assists.
See, that's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I mean it's like he was he was as Bill Russell always told me. He said, you know, people would say, you know, I stopped Wilt. He said, I didn't stop him. He averaged 38 points a game against me. He said, we just had better players. I had better players with me. I had Sam Jones and Havlicek and those guys, and he didn't have as good a roster.
All right, if somebody calls up and they said, well, I think Kareem's the greatest center of all time, would you have a problem with that?
No. I mean, I think in his era, and I think when you look at the college thing, all the championships that he had in college, I always say if Kareem had been allowed to play as a freshman, he'd have won 4 championships. And, of course, the historic Texas Western team wouldn't have won.
How about that? You're right.
Because, I mean, UCLA would 1966, their freshmen with the varsity, they would have won.
How do you like these guys over here? You know, they got the free hot dogs, and look at they're just loading up their table with all kinds of food from Bennett's. I'm impressed. I got to tell you.
It looks like they need food. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of worried. They look like they're wasting away to me.
You're celebrating. I love it, man. I love it. It's great. Look at it. Got a whole plate of food. And there's Mr. Brian Bennett here. And almost. We're a break actually right now. We'll come back. Final segment right here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic officials still on scene of that earlier accident, I-80 eastbound at Marysville Boulevard, backed up to Truxell Road. That's about a 30 to 35-minute delay through that area. Give yourself that extra time because it's going to be out there a while, blocking 2 left lanes. Cap City Freeway off-ramp to El Camino Avenue. That earlier accident still trying to be wrapped up, and heavy rush hour delays exist throughout all of the Sacramento area. Definitely give yourself lots of extra time as you head home. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Who would have imagined that the coolest, most pleasant California summer in 30 years would leave the big air conditioning companies drowning in overstock? Overstock is not a good thing for air conditioning companies. But if you're a homeowner, it's a thing of beauty because it's a golden ticket to huge savings on a new AC system. So right now, for a very limited time, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort is offering jaw-dropping discounts on brand new air conditioning systems. These are brand new systems, professionally installed by Sierra Pacific and then backed up by a bulletproof warranty. And since a lot of these systems qualify for significant tax credits and SMUD rebates, it's a perfect time to call Sierra Pacific, especially if you own an older home with an outdated AC system. Call Sierra Pacific to schedule an in-home consultation at 916-638-0543 or visit sierrapacifichome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air, the guys in the big red trucks.
NASCAR roars into Roseville for the Napa Auto Parts 150 on Saturday, September 13th. Over 400 laps of stock car racing, plus a VIP barbecue, car show, Better Midway, and fireworks. Tickets and info at allamericансpeedway.com.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Call the good dudes at your Broods. G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Let's get right to it. Is your home over 10 years old? How long has it been since electrical integrity was checked? Even for newer builds, a safe rule of thumb is to have your home's electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabroods, electrical work is all they do. Panel replacement, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what they do most often. They are the area's experts and the electrical company their competition recommends for the hardest problems to solve.
with the Giants.
Yeah,
so
you have.
that was
yeah. And I was out of control. So
you were. You're kind of like me. You got a little front runner in you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we haven't really talked about this when we did the halftime shows and post-game shows over on my podcast with Rhino. We always talk Kings fans. Well, we need a legitimate, bona fide point guard, like a real point guard. Is Dennis Schroeder that guy?
Well, he's a good player. He's a good point guard. I mean, that's what he is as a point guard. Is he one of the upper echelon guys? No, I don't think you could say that, but I would say it'd be hard to say he's not one of the top 15 or 16 starting point guards, and he's really had a good summer over in the Euro League. He's played well.
Right.
I've watched some highlights. No, he'll be an improvement. There's no doubt. He's an improvement. I mean, I think the only question fans have, I know with the podcast I do with the Kings Herald, is so many of the fans, it's age and contract. In other words, a lot of fans would like to go younger.
Yeah, he's 32.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right on the cusp for a point guard. Small players don't seem to last as long as bigger players.
Yeah, that's a good point. Of course, training camp's going to open up here at the end of this month, and we'll be covering a lot of it right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. And we, of course, will be doing the podcast as well on If You Don't Like That with all the Kings games. And we appreciate all the things you do for us as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, that's a chance to get to work with you again. It's always been an honor and a highlight, more or less. Not always. I mean,
not always.
There's a couple low lights in there.
Yeah, exactly. I was just fortunate that you were not with me when the Kings lost 43 consecutive road games as my broadcast partner. I would not want you to have to endure me during that stretch of losing 43 straight on the road.
No, and having to ride Airball 1 on every trip. I mean, risking life and limb during those times. Not
only that, on the way home on a East Coast to West Coast trip, and then there was the Thule fog in Sacramento, and we would have to land in Oakland and then bus to Sacramento and walk into the house at 8 in the freaking morning after going 0-6 on an East Coast trip.
Yeah, people don't think about that much, but I used to do a lot of scouting back in those days too, and you'd fly. Basically, you think you're going to get back in 9 o'clock, and it'd be the fog, and you have to go bus in. My gosh, just a pain in the rear.
I think the worst road trip that I ever remember was when the Kings played all three expansion teams, Miami, Orlando, and then Charlotte. And they didn't score 80 points in Florida. I believe they had 73-73. But then they go to the expansion Charlotte Hornets, and they scored 59 points. And that's the game where Dick Motta quit on the flight, and the Kings, for some stupid reason, talked him out of it. They had to go to the back of the plane. Wayman and Mitch and those guys talked him out of it.
I think it's mostly Wayman. I don't think Mitch.
Yeah, because Mitch wasn't a fan of using 24 seconds on the clock.
No, I think it's Wayman. Wayman just such a wonderful person.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I think Mitch was saying, Tizzy, really? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I know he did. He's like, hey, Tiz, rethink this. Hey.
Think about that road trip, though, against three expansion teams, not scoring 80 points in any of the games.
Oh, man, especially, well, like I say, I thought, is that stage where Dick's offense was very, very predictable. He'd run the same thing for years in not only Chicago, but Washington, Dallas. And as the years went on, teams catch on. And
I'll never forget, we were in Seattle at Key Arena at shoot-around one day. I think Rory Sparrow was the point guard, I think. And Dick got so frustrated. He goes, come here. Everybody get around me. And he's at the forecourt, right between the midcourt line and the sideline. He goes, now listen to me when you're playing this team. This area right here, I want you to make believe that this is filled with landmines, okay? And if you stop the dribble here, you're going to be stepping on a landmine. Okay, this is how he said. And the guys are looking at Dick like, what is wrong? But he's like, this area of the court, you do not stop the dribble. I'm like, yeah, well, they probably learned that in junior high school, Dick. You know what I mean?
Well, I'd go say, I think probably the funniest thing for me was just listening when Dick was giving a talk, and certainly had reason to try to motivate and all that. And he was telling the guys, if you'll just listen to me, maybe someday you can have a championship ring like I got. and Danny Ainge said, well, Coach, maybe they ought to listen to me. I got 2.
I love it. I love it.
And I mean, and really, and I tell you, after that time, their relationship was strained.
Yeah. Yeah.
He didn't see the humor, but Danny was always busting people's chops.
That's Danny Ainge, yeah. And in Dick's credit, he did win a championship with Washington,
Yeah.
right? There aren't a lot of coaches that can go around and say, I've won a championship.
Absolutely. Well, I always say he was when he came out of college, he was a great. A lot of that time, he and Bill Fitch and John McLeod, they brought college guys, Cotton Fitzsimmons, into the NBA, where they really hadn't been coaching. They're basically just toss the ball out and make sure that and those guys all had great success. But as years change, the game changed, things changed.
And in the expansion, Dallas Mavericks, we think was for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. Had a lot of success.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a time where the college coaches could come in the league and really make it better. Now that's hadn't been that case for 20 some years.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's just a different game. Now, really, as we go forward, I think with the NIL and all that, pretty much the college game is pro basketball now too. So that might change it, but I think just the adjustment from college to where you control everything to an NBA where you're basically a manager. And you got to deal with agents and all the other stuff. So and adults and 30-year-old guys, not 19-year-old guys. Very, very different world. And like I say, just my experience in college was it's so much easier at that time because you controlled it. They had to get in line.
I'm really anxious and curious to see how Mike Bibby is going to do at Sac State. I was texting with Mike a couple of weeks ago, and Mike said, I was born for this type of a job and this type of a challenge. And now with Shaq on board, I'm not betting against Mike Bibby. I'll tell you that. That's the one thing I'm not going to do.
No, I don't think Mike will do a great job coaching. Now, it all comes down, can they acquire with the NIL stuff? It's all about money.
Yes, of course.
I've always said, the thing now, it's worse than pros because every year, every player is a free agent.
Yeah.
And
I hate that, Jerry.
Oh, I hate it. It's they've got to get some controls of it to limit the transfer, maybe one free transfer. And I think a salary cap has to be instituted. But I think we both know when the SEC and the Big Ten decide, the football schools decide what rules they want to have.
Oh boy,
that'll be the rules.
Yes, that's very true. But this because you coached. At junior college, you had Bob McAdoo on your team, and that's pretty. And Footsie Walker. But think about this. This one player can change your entire basketball team around.
Oh yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, when you're if you've got a true great, you're a contender.
Yeah.
And in college or the pros.
And that would be Bob McAdoo.
Yeah, he was a true great. And we won some championships, not unsurprising. But I always remember Mac and I just talked to him recently about a week or so ago. We were just talking about that. He of course went to Carolina and they finished third in the nation. At that time they had a third place thing. But he always told me, he said, we had more talent at Vincennes than had at Carolina.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No
we had
kidding.
8 guys that were drafted off that Vincennes JUCO team.
Wow.
Yeah. Not all of them made it.
What were your records? How many wins and losses? Do you remember when you had McAdoo? What your record? What was your best record?
Well, one was 32-0 and the other was
32-0
and 29-3 or something like that.
Wow.
Mhm.
I would say that's pretty good, Jerry.
Yeah.
32-0.
He was fairly easy to coach.
You would think so. And you telling your point guard, hey, at the end of a game, if it's close, make sure you throw the ball to McAdoo.
Yeah. They, it was pretty easy to figure out that, if you really needed a bucket, you'd have to be a brain surgeon to know where to go.
So, in all honesty, Bob McAdoo, in all of your competition, was it like men playing against boys? Was he that much better than everybody else?
He was better than everybody else, but I don't know that you for sure saw greatness at that time.
Really?
He still had parts of his game that he had, his ball handling, a thing that he did. He was a hard worker. That's one thing about Mac. He got kind of like most great players. They got better every year.
Okay, so when you had him, you didn't really envision him being that a great player in the NBA?
No, I thought he might play in the NBA.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't considered the best big coming out of North Carolina. there were two guys, I think Robert Traylor and another Reggie Royals.
Really?
There were two guys that were rated above him.
Is that right?
Yeah. And
That's amazing to me.
But that's always the way when you
Yeah.
think about it. There's when you look at high school All-American, I mean, it's like I say, a Tim Duncan. Well, he was not heavily recruited at all.
That's true.
Elijah wasn't recruited heavily.
Well, that I understand, but
yeah,
Tim Duncan,
but Tim Duncan, yeah, he was he didn't play basketball till late, and Jordan until his senior year wasn't heavily recruited, and same way with Larry Bird. Now Magic was a one of those guys that was a top guy from sophomore year on.
Larry Bird was not heavily recruited coming out of high school.
He was, but it all happened late.
Like
like as a senior, just happened as a senior, but as a junior, he really didn't have anybody after him.
When he went to Indiana State, could have he gone to any college he wanted to?
Well, he did go to Indiana first.
Oh, that's right, he did, and then he went to Indiana State.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, he did go to and he never really wanted to go there. I don't think. I mean, it was kind of like God intends you to go to Indiana when you're from French, like at that
the
time.
pressure. Well, that's every boy's dream, isn't it, to play at Indiana when you're growing up in Indiana?
Yeah, in general, you think that. I
Right.
mean, it was. It's not anymore, of course, and I don't think with Larry because the school was just too big for him. It really intimidated
Is
him.
that right?
Oh, and I understand that. I've been the same way. You come from a town of 2,500, and
What about Bobby Knight and Larry Bird?
well, that wasn't didn't go well.
That's my point. I mean, their personality that
There
was not
again,
going to work for Larry.
No, I mean Larry. I think at that time, I think in which he said, I mean, I think he expected, maybe needed a little more assistance. He didn't have any money, didn't have, kind of a lost soul with a bunch of proven veteran guys. So he left after a few weeks, I think there, and then, worked for a year in French Lick, and then went to Indiana State, which was really where he wanted to go, I think, all along.
He didn't even go to school after he left Indiana for a year.
No, he worked on the maintenance department in French Lick.
No kidding. I
yeah.
didn't even know that.
Yeah,
How about that? For the whole, so he after a couple of weeks he left Indiana, went back home, worked for a year, and then went to Indiana State.
He actually went to a junior college, kind of local, called Northwood,
Wow.
but he was kicked out after because he beat cut in a fight.
Really?
In the basketball game, punched somebody out, which he could do. but then worked on the maintenance thing. I remember spending some time with him during that period, and just encouraged him to go back to school. And he'd always said he was already made his mind up that he was going to. And so, yeah, it's I always say for every player that makes it, there's two or three with that don't for different same kind of reasons.
Absolutely.
It's a fine line between the good players and the great players, and I mean guys like him and Magic and LeBron and Hakeem, you can go on a line. They showed greatness right away when they came in the league.
Well, yeah, you to this day, when we announced LeBron's first ever game, and in the second half, you made a comment that I will never forget, and you said, barring an injury, I think we may be looking at a guy that when it's all said and done will be considered the greatest player of all time. Now, it's subjective, but you can't have the conversation and not mention his name.
No, you have to.
Right.
I mean, obviously, he's got practically all the records now. Yeah. So, and he can play every position. But I'd always remember watching him in some McDonald's All-America games and practices and stuff, and it was just like.
Well, he had an NBA body when he walked onto the court that night. I couldn't believe it when we were standing on the floor and he came up behind us to warm up, and I was like, "Whoa!" Because if you look at the Jermaine O'Neals and the Kevin Garnett's and other, they weren't ready. They were string beans coming in.
Yeah, well, Kobe.
Kobe.
I mean, he was the only 18-year-old to come in the league, and there's only one other I can think of that was good right away.
Amari Stoudemire.
Oh,
see?
Yep.
Because he had a body.
Yeah, he had the body, pro body. Now, I didn't see Moses Malone, but he played in ABA, but evidently he was that way. Spencer Haywood was another one, but he played 1 year in junior college before he went pro.
When I had Charles Barkley, as we're running we're at the end of this, and I want to thank you. When I had Charles Barkley on the other day, I asked him, how his career would have been different had he not been with Moses Malone when he was a rookie. And he basically said, I wouldn't have had a career.
Mhm.
And he said that. He gave
Yeah.
all the credit to Moses Malone for really propelling him to have a career. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, and Moses is one of those guys, one of the all-time greats. I didn't mention him, and I should have.
That's right.
Because I mean,
Oh, boy.
he's clearly in any kind of group. He and
Yeah.
I mean, Jokic certainly is too at this stage. But how do you? Like I say, until somebody can average 50 a game and average 30 rebounds, just go ahead and go with Wilt.
Hey, thank you, Jerry, for doing this with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, anytime. Just great to be with you again. And, the show's going great.
Yeah,
I
thank
listened
you.
to it and a lot of good times ahead.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you to everybody, and I'm going to be hanging out here to watch the game. Come on down to Bennett's Westside Grill. My thanks to Brian Bennett and his great staff for taking care of us today. Don't forget a replay of hour number 1 coming up next. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for being with us here on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Business owners, Grant Napier's back, bringing Fox Sports Radio to the forefront of sports talk in Sacramento. That means more listeners, more potential customers who could be spending money for your products and services. This is Kurt Bag.